Chapter 860. The imposing manner of this spear seemed to have opened a hole in the sky as a surge of star power poured down. It transformed into a burst of dragon-like power and swept over. Huchirue blocked it with the giant blade in his hand unconsciously. He waved the blade with his arm, as if it was flying and water could not get through. Bursts of blade lights were pulled out to form layers of defensive walls to try to block this astonishing spear attack. Xiantian could not refrain himself from jumping up. Idiot! Initially, Huchirue wanted to make himself appear battered and exhausted from the disadvantage. Then, he would unleash the sealed beast presence to launch a surprise attack on Bai Liguang. Unexpectedly, Bai Liguang's full power attack was this astonishing. He did not even have the chance to defend himself. This time, even the most layman could see through it. Initially, Huchirue planned to rely on his powerful weapon to make up for the difference in power between him and Bai Liguang. Unexpectedly, Bai Liguang's weapon was even more powerful. It had completely suppressed Huchirue's weapon. Before Bai Liguang's giant spear, that giant blade could not make any waves. Boom! With a surge of powerful airflow, instantly a burst of strong light surged from the Xian Yuan stage. In the next moment, like a desperate kite, Huchirue's body flew backwards. He dropped below the Xian Yuan stage with a face full of dust. Bai Liguang had blasted him off the stage directly. After struggling for a while, blood spurted out from his mouth. Huchirue's face was ashen as his divine soul trembled. How could he dare to act recklessly? As if he had done something insignificant, Bai Liguang shook his head helplessly. His expression seemed to be complaining that the opponent was too weak. Holding the long spear in one hand, Bai Liguang bowed to Xian Yuan Ba and cupped his hands in a salute to express his gratitude. When he turned to look at the Xian clan, Bai Liguang raised the corner of his mouth slightly. A mocking smile emerged as he walked down the stage leisurely. How could Xiantian not know that Bai Liguang was deliberately provoking him? Waves of cheers came from beneath the stage. Clearly, they were extremely astonished at Bai Liguang's easy victory. They felt admiration from the bottom of their hearts. A trace of smile hung from the corner of Xian Yuanba's mouth. He stood up and said with a loud voice, "Congratulations to the 100 Lane clan for successfully defending one of the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. Although the Vase Mao Mountain has failed, don't be discouraged. Keep up the good work." The words of congratulations and consolation that came from the mouth of a Xianyuan totem powerhouse naturally had a different flavor. Cheers rose from all around. For a moment, a small climax was set off. The first round of the competition had ended, and a day had passed so quickly. Everyone felt that it was not enough. They wished that the sun would not set so that the competition could continue. After a night of waiting, many impatient people were looking forward to the dawn. They couldn't wait to wake up the sun and blow away the stars in the sky. Although there weren't any big waves in the first round of battle, the brilliance was constantly being displayed. For example, the divine Beast Fire Kylan's 9th Tribulation Supreme Dao battle armor, and Bai Liguang's unexpected use of a stronger Supreme Dao weapon to suppress Huchirue's 6th Tribulation Transformation Supreme Dao weapon. For those forces who had never seen the world, it was obviously a feast in all aspects. The 100 Lane clan's victory gave the Thousand Feather sect a lot of confidence. Although the Qin clan did not send any divine beasts to assist them, the current situation of the 3rd level duel was incredibly clear. Regardless of the Vase Mao Mountain or the 100 Sword sect, the elite warriors of the 3rd level were incomparable to the veteran Heavenly Emperor Mountain powerhouses in terms of strength. Therefore, as long as they were on guard against the sneak attack of their sealed beast soul, plus with their powerful defying weapons, it would not be a problem for them to win in the 3rd level. With no problem in the 3rd level, it would not be a disaster even if they lost in the 2nd level. In the 1st level duel, Luo Baiyu's equipment was the same as Bai Liguang's. Luo Baiyu's own strength was even stronger than Bai Liguang's. It would not be difficult to defeat the leader of the 100 Sword sect. Brother Guang, congratulations. Luo Baiyu was the first to arrive at the 100 Lane clan's camp to congratulate him. Bai Li Guang suppressed the Vase Mound Mountain and defended a spot in the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. Naturally, he was in high spirits. Brother Bai Yu, the supreme Tao weapon master Linus, is truly powerful. Don't worry, Wu Xuanhu, the leader of the 100 Sword Sect, is not as powerful as Hu Qirue. With Master's supreme Tao weapon, it's as easy as turning your hand to win. You just need to be on guard against the sneak attack of his sealed beast soul. Luo Baiyu had grasped the essence of the battle from Bai Li Guang. He also felt much more assured. His earlier worries had also been tossed to the back of his mind. Brother Guang, now your 100 Lane clan has come ashore. You have also received Master's reward. To speak the truth, I was truly worried earlier. Bai Li Guang sneered. I already told you, your worries are unnecessary. It's not like you haven't seen Master's work. The 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapons he lent us are all genuine goods at fair prices. To speak the truth, for that stingy Xian clan, besides squeezing us dry, they are stingy. Now that we need others to risk their lives, what's the use of giving them some benefits? Brother Baiyu, I am truly regretful. Initially, I should not have been oppressed by Xian Tianwen's despotic power to attack the Qin clan. If we had held on, then certainly our position would be comparable to the Floating Snow House and the Misty Sword sect. Now, although Master is treating us well, in the end we must be on guard. The past is unbearable to recall. Luo Baiyu gave a long sigh. I can see that in terms of equipment, Xian Tianwen is incomparable to Master. I guess that Master must have acquired many treasures from the immemorial formation. Look at the weapons Master lent us. They are all at the peak of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Certainly, it would be better to lend them to the Floating Snow House and the Misty Sword sect. That's reasonable. The opponents the Misty Sword sect and the Floating Snow House challenged are much stronger than the ones we faced. Haha, Brother Baiyu. It's truly refreshing to use a 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon. Unfortunately, it's borrowed. Luo Baiyu was also moved and extremely fascinated. Brother Guang, wouldn't it be great if Master bestowed us with this 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon? Bai Li Guang's expression sank. Brother Baiyu, you have a big appetite. Don't push your luck. It's already good that Master is willing to bestow us with a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon. Look, what kind of reward can we get by working for Xian Tianwen? That's right. We must not be too greedy. Luo Baiyu immediately nodded in agreement. However, Master once revealed that if we perform outstandingly, he can lend us this 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao weapon for 2 or 3,000 years. Really? Although in the martial arts world, 2 or 3,000 years was not an exaggeration, it was indeed a long time. That will depend on how you perform. If you can defeat the 100 Sword Sect, perhaps Master will agree when he is in a good mood. Luo Baiyu said with a determined tone. We must exert all our efforts. He also knew that if the 1,000 Feather Sect could not break out of the encirclement, it would be the same as being kicked out. Although the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates would lose their position, certainly the Qin clan would choose someone else. The competition was in full swing. The second round of competition was between the Great Second Gate and the Mysterious Reform Gate. To the Qin clan, this round of competition appeared secondary. These two houses were old rivals. Due to the entanglement of gratitude and grudges, it was extremely complicated. The battle situation was also extremely anxious. However, in some cases, there was a huge difference between having a backer and not having one. To the Mysterious Reform Gate, they would not dare to ask for help from the Qin clan, much less the Xian clan. However, the Yun clan supported their rival, the Great Second Gate. Therefore, the Mysterious Reform Gate did not gain favor from 3 sides. Although the Great Second Gate was slightly inferior to the Mysterious Reform Gate, they also developed rapidly in these years. Plus, with the deliberate nurturing from the Yun clan, they won 2 rounds in a row and did not even give the Mysterious Reform Gate the chance to fight the 3rd round. This way, the Mysterious Reform Gate also became the first Heavenly Emperor Mountain sect to be disqualified since the start of the competition. The Great Second Gate had successfully seized a spot. Naturally, the entire Great Second Gate was endlessly jubilant. This leap of a carp leaping over the Dragon's Gate was definitely an opportunity for the sect, an opportunity to strengthen themselves, especially when considering the opening of the god discarding door in 20 years. Such opportunity appeared even more precious. Everyone knew that ordinary sects were not qualified to participate in the opening of the god discarding door. Only powerhouses at the level of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates were qualified to participate. At this moment, entering the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates was equivalent to acquiring a heavenly fortuitous opportunity. Naturally, the mysterious Reform Gate would lose a heavenly opportunity. Perhaps the sect would fall and never recover from this setback. To the Great Second Gate, the only variable was who would acquire the Heavenly Emperor's seat. It was because when the Heavenly Emperor ascended the seat, they would have the qualification to banish. With that qualification, most likely the Great Second Gate would become the target of banishment. However, they would have to do it with real swords and spears. Additionally, when a new Heavenly Emperor ascends the seat, usually the banishment would pick the most hated opponent. For a new powerhouse like the Great Second Gate, they would not be chosen if they were not dazzling. Qin Wushuang definitely had a knot in his heart regarding the Great Second Gate. Qin Wushuang also tried a rope in this Great Second Gate. However, this Great Second Gate feigned civility and showed an ambiguous attitude. In the end, they turned to the Yun clan. For such fence-sitter style, Qin Wushuang did not like them. However, this was not the time to care about the Great Second Gate. It was because to the Qin clan, the final battle for the third spot was extremely important. For the third spot, the floating snow house would challenge the heavenly punishing villa. On the third day, at 7 in the morning, Xian Yuan Ba began to announce the list of participants for both sides. This list would only be announced the moment before the start of the competition to prevent other parties from tampering. For the floating snow house, AI Simo, with the bloodline of the immemorial Azure Dragon, would fight in the third tier. Bao Bao, with the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey, would fight in the second tier. Mu Rong Qianji, the suzerain, would enter the first tier with the name of the suzerain. In fact, this arrangement was crafty. Qin Wushuang did not plan to let his father-in-law fight in the third round. It was because he knew that at the moment, certainly his father-in-law was inferior to Yan Beifei, the veteran supreme Dao elite warrior. For the heavenly punishing villa, with the death of Yan Guinan, they were indeed short on manpower. Clearly, they did not plan to fight for the third tier. They only sent out elite warriors of the exquisite, mysterious boundary stage. They chose to fight in the second and first tier. The second tier was a sealed beast soul at the sixth calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. It was apparent that Xian Tianwen had spent a lot of capital. Yan Beifei would oversee the first tier. For these two tiers, Xian Tianwen was full of confidence. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.qijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 861. In fact, this battle could be seen as an early showdown between the Qin and the Xian clan. It was because both parties were their most trusted followers. Currently, the floating snow house and the Qin clan shared a father-son-in-law relationship. Naturally, they shared a good relationship. The heavenly punishing villa had always been the best left and right arm of the Xian clan. These two houses did not avoid it at all. Before the list was announced, the floating snow house was with the Qin clan, and the heavenly punishing villa was with the Xian clan. This time, Xian Tianwen spent a lot of capital. Not only did he lend a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao Divine Beast, he also lent Yan Beifei a Supreme Dao weapon at the peak of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. He almost lent out his own genuine Divine 6 weapons. Beifei, for this round, you must observe the situation clearly. For the first round, you have no chance of winning. Just play around and strategically give up. The second round will be the deciding round for you. As long as you take the second round, even if Mu Rong Qianji has a genuine divine weapon, he will not be your opponent in the third round. The difference between you and him is too great. Mu Rong Qianji had only broken into the Supreme Dao stage for a dozen years. In the Supreme Dao domain, he was basically a newbie. Clearly, he was incomparable to Yin Beifei, a sixth Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao elite warrior who had entered the Supreme Dao stage for more than 1,000 years. In other words, for the third round, Mu Rong Qianji had no chance of winning. Although Yin Beifei was not as intelligent as Yin Guinan, his analytical skills were not weak. He nodded. Looking at the floating snow house, they should also be fighting for the second round. Isn't Bao Bao that stinky monkey next to Qin Wushuang? That's right. According to the information, that monkey only broke into the Supreme Dao stage a dozen years ago. However, I heard he has the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey. However, for a dozen years, how powerful could he be? Compared to a sealed bee soul at the sixth Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao stage, for sure there is a difference. Yin Beifei was also full of confidence. Yes, we have seen the battle of that monkey. Although his fighting style is swift and fierce, he clearly lacks experience. I think for this round, we have 60% chance of winning. Xian Tianwen's expression went cold. I want a 100% chance. The Vase Mao Mountain and the 100 Swords sect can lose. Because they are challengers, it's not embarrassing to lose. You guys are old sects, the golden signboard of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates. You guys cannot afford to lose. Yin Beifei sweated and quickly nodded in agreement. Inwardly, he still felt somewhat uncomfortable. He felt that if it weren't for your torment, not only did they not achieve anything when besieging the Qin clan, they lost so many Supreme Dao elite warriors. How could their manpower be stretched to make ends meet today? On the other hand, the Qin clan was extremely calm. From beginning to end, Qin Wushuang had a confident smile on his face. Head Mu Rong, for this battle, you will be in charge of going up the stage and watching. Trust me, you will not need to step out, and one of the spots of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates will fall into your hands. Qin Wushuang's words caused Mu Rong Qianji and the other brothers to reveal joyous expressions. They looked at each other and felt extremely excited. AI Simo chuckled and said, Daddy, MR1, is there any reward? Yes, I'll find you a good husband in the dragon race, Qin Wushuang said seriously. AI Simo's cheeks immediately turned red, and she said angrily, Dad, you're too much. Be careful. I might bully your little disciple. As she said this, she winked at Yang Yi, who stood next to Qin Wushuang. When this MOer saw Qin Wushuang spoiling his new disciple, she could not refrain herself from having the intention to compete for his favor. Senior sister Mo-er, I did not provoke you. Yang Yi stuck up her mouth and was not happy. All right, stop messing around. Let's get down to business. Qin Wushuang moved his face, and instantly, the few little ones shut up. It was apparent that Qin Wushuang had some prestige. Mo-er, as someone with the bloodline of the Dragon Clan, you must let everyone know that the immemorial dragon bloodline is not a bluff. Understand? Mo-er loved face the most and had the same moral conduct as the disciples of the Dragon Clan. She was extremely proud and prideful. Upon hearing Wushuang's provocation, she stuck out her chest and said, Dad, don't worry. I will make him lose his sense of direction in 3 moves. Yes, Bao Bao, your responsibility is greater than Mo-er's. Qin Wushuang looked at Bao Bao. Bao Bao scratched his head unconsciously and laughed mischievously. Boss, I don't need to remind you. I've been your brother for so many years and fought many battles with you. It's only a sealed beast soul. For sure, I will beat him until his head is full of bruises. While everyone laughed, Qin Wushuang said seriously, Bao Bao, regarding strength and bloodline, I have no doubts about you. However, you have one problem. You are clumsy and immature. You are not reliable. You are too young and immature. It's easy for you to underestimate the enemy. This is a great taboo on the battlefield. Bao Bao stuck out his tongue. Ha ha, boss. I will listen to you and not underestimate the enemy. Before the enemy falls, I will not stop. Yes, remember my words. don't dawdle with the enemy. When you go up, swing the yin-yang stretching rod and beat him to death. Bring out your demonic fighting style and let everyone see what the yin-yang stretching rod is. The yin-yang stretching rod is to beat you into a human rod. Everyone laughed out loud. After Qin Wushuang had shaken off such a burden, everyone's nervous mood had clearly eased. Go perform well. Don't have any burdens. When both parties went up the stage, Murong Su stood next to Qin Wushuang and gently held Qin Wushuang's arm. She asked in a low voice, "Brother Wushuang, the floating snow house will win for sure." "Ha ha, Su-er, the floating snow house will wait to move into the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates." "Ah, the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates are great. However, after living at the floating snow house for so many years, we have a deep relationship." Murong Su felt somewhat embarrassed. "Silly girl, each of the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates controls 100,000 miles of land. Regardless of resources or spiritual chi, they're many times better than the floating snow house. If you're unwilling to part with the floating snow house, you can build a branch. Choose an uncle and let him stand guard over there. Anyways, all the powerhouses in the past did this." Murong Su revealed a slight smile and said wittily, "Is this called a crafty rabbit having 3 burrows?" Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. Watch the competition. On the stage, after Xian Yuan Ba had finished his introductory speech, the 2 contestants of the 3rd tier had already gone up the stage. Possessing the bloodline of the immemorial Azure Dragon, AI Simo transformed into her true form directly. Before the powerful dragon breath, her opponent, that martial artist at the exquisite mysterious boundary, was scared witless. Currently, AI Simo was also a supreme Dao dragon at the peak of the Coagulate Supreme Dao stage. When she activated all of her dragon breath, she was not much weaker than ordinary divine beasts at the 2nd or 3rd calamity of the transformation Supreme Dao stage. When the dragon breath that filled the sky interweaved together, it caused the entire body of that opponent to go limp. Not to mention counterattacking, he did not even have the physical strength to stand firmly. This kind of situation simply left everyone dumbstruck. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang applauded. Such a good MOAer, such a clever and mischievous girl. Qin Wushuang had never thought of such a method of battle. Indeed, it was to his satisfaction. How was this a battle? It was clearly a slap to the face. The muscles on Xian Tianwen's face twitched slightly. When facing such a scene, clearly he also felt incredibly embarrassed. He wanted to find a hole to crawl into. The difference was too great. Between the spreading of the dragon breath, one only heard a miserable howl. That martial artist had a mental breakdown as he started to cry loudly. "I admit defeat. I admit defeat." Before AI Simo made a move, her opponent had completely collapsed. A burst of booing emerged from all directions beneath the stage. Up until now, this was the most cowardly competition they had seen. Before the battle even started, he was already crying and begging for mercy. Could this guy be a spy sent by the floating snow house to deliberately embarrass the heavenly punishing villa? However, since he admitted defeat, according to the rules, they were not allowed to kill him. Unless they signed a life and death agreement before the competition, they were allowed to kill without caring about the consequences. After all, AI Simo was a little girl. When she saw a martial artist with a white beard crying bitterly before her, her heart softened. She cast away her lips and said, "I'm not going to kill you. Why are you crying? Do people of the heavenly punishing villa like to cry this much? Who did you learn from?" Xian Tianwen. This Xian clan had become a street rat. It was as if they would mock him whenever they had the chance. Initially, Bai Li Guang, and now this dragon girl seemed to hold a grudge against Xian Tianwen. Those with discerning eyes knew that this was Qin Wushuang's instruction. The first round ended dramatically. Without any surprise, the floating snow house did not give the heavenly punishing villa the slightest suspense and won directly. When the second round started, that sealed beast soul was released. Carrying a belly full of anger, bursts of ancient and mysterious demonic fog sword. When it revealed its true form, It was a violent male lion. This beast had a ferocious appearance and was on par with the purple flame electric beast. "Where is that stinking monkey? Come up, I'm going to tear you into pieces." The lion divine beast roared, and the mane on his head danced with the wind. It gave people a feeling of great power. Bao Bao jumped out from the side of the floating snow house with a grin. He waved a few fancy moves with the yin-yang stretching rod in his hand and ignored that big guy. Instead, he said to Yin Beifei of the Heavenly Punishing Villa, "Old man Yin, hurry up and prepare to vacate the territory of the Heavenly Punishing Villa. Don't just stand there, you will not even have the chance to go on stage in the third round." After he had finished speaking, he flipped his body and landed on the Xian Yuan stage with a dozen somersaults. He grabbed the yin-yang stretching rod in his hand and looked at the lion divine beast as if he was toying with his prey. "That big idiot, don't think you can scare people with your ferocious appearance. I, Mr. Bao Bao, specialize in dealing with pretentious people like you." The lion divine beast gave a low growl. "Stinking monkey, go die." This sealed beast soul had not fully awakened its intelligence. Thus, it only called him stinking monkey over and over again and did not have any new tricks. Bao Bao did remember Qin Wushuang's teachings. With a mischievous laugh, he grabbed the yin-yang stretching rod and twisted his body. Golden lights gushed to the sky, and instantly, the advantage of the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey was revealed. As soon as he initiated his temperament, he did not lose to ordinary divine beasts at the fourth calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. "Big guy, take my rod." He swung the yin-yang stretching rod high and smashed it down on his head. This rod contained 10,000 strikes in one strike. Driven by the golden lights, instantly, it surged with a burst of imposing manner as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him. The yin-yang stretching rod was a weapon at the sixth calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. At this moment, its power was revealed. A series of tragic explosions rang out in the void, and the surrounding air cracked and moved in all directions, as if to make way for this shocking staff strike. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 862. Initially, the lion divine beast had been brainwashed by Exine Tianwen. He estimated Bao Bao to be at the peak of the coagulate supreme Tao stage. Unexpectedly, when this attack arrived, it was not the case. From the moment Bao Bao's aura surged, he felt something was wrong. How could this be the power of the coagulate supreme Tao stage? He was simply at the fourth or fifth calamity of the transformation supreme Tao stage. Additionally, the purity of his divine power made him, an ancient desolate beast, feel incredibly shocked. Immemorial bloodline, an extremely pure immemorial bloodline. The lion divine beast was also exceptional. Under this attack, his body trembled all of a sudden and transformed into a burst of subtle light to enter the sky. He had used the divine skill of invisibility. Bao Bao did not expect that this thick and ferocious lion divine beast would be able to play such small tricks. However, to Bao Bao, such tricks were a piece of cake. Initially, after Bao Bao had fallen into the raging flame cliff, he started to practice the pupil attachment technique. He had trained a pair of discerning eyes. In terms of pupil techniques, even Qin Wushuang was far inferior to Bao Bao. Bao Bao held onto the yin-yang stretching staff and opened his eyes wide. Immediately, bursts of subtle halos emerged from his pupils. Rings of golden lights spread out from his eyes like ripples. As the golden lights spread out and shone into the sky, even a speck of dust could not hide. Due to the gigantic appearance of the lion divine beast, his original form was revealed when he was fixed by this pupil light. Once again, he swung the yin-yang stretching staff. With a long hiss, Bao Bao's entire body swelled up. The bones on his body kept bulging and emitted clear, cracking sounds. Following the bulging of the bones, his muscles also kept bulging. His forelimbs kept stretching out. In an instant, Bao Bao's body had grown more than 10 times. The heaven and earth one rod swayed in the wind and actually lengthened as well. This way, Bao Bao's body was much bigger than the lion divine beast. His gigantic body was like a fierce warrior of the giant clan. Each time he took a step, a burst of muffled and giant sound emerged from the stone platform of the Xian Yuan stage. Boom, boom. Bao Bao, who had entered a frenzied, demonic state. Clearly, his destructive power had doubled. That lion divine beast could not help but roar madly. Despite its ferocious nature, it did not dare to clash head-on with Bao Bao. Bao Bao gave a long roar to the sky and kept swinging the yin-yang stretching rod. One rod after another, he smashed at the enemy's head. His might was astonishing. Each time when the stick came down, clearly, waves of tragic wrinkles appeared in the sky. The uneven space cracks accompanied by the glittering golden stick shadow locked the entire Xian Yuan stage within Bao Bao's attack. That lion divine beast kept roaring angrily. Clearly, he found it difficult to adapt to Bao Bao's unreasonable fighting style. Since Bao Bao had entered the demonic state, his stage was already superior to his. Plus, when he unleashed half of the potential of the yin-yang stretching rod, it had more than doubled Bao Bao's power. This way, the lion divine beast had to endure the pincer attack from two berserk Bao Bao. Naturally, this situation was not something his sealed beast soul could take care of. Although the beast's soul was angry, it grumbled in its heart. However, its pride as a primordial desolate beast made it feel abnormally angry. Its avatar began to tremble as it emitted a strange blue light. And under the blue light, its body began to tremble gently. When Bao Bao saw the strange movements of this lion divine beast, he remembered Qin Wushuang's instructions at all times. Without daring to neglect, he attacked with the yin-yang stretching rod even more urgently. Like raindrops, the attacks kept coming at him. Each time he swung out the rod, it carried the power of a mountain. It would either hit, cover, or press. That lion divine beast endured attacks like a giant mountain. Clearly, his body did not dare to take it head-on. Despite dodging left and right, he was still grazed by that rod technique. His flesh was torn open and he was injured. Suddenly, the blue lights surrounding the body of the lion divine beast shone brightly. Amidst the blue lights, an incomparably devilish azure pearl dashed out. It was about the size of a wicker basket. As soon as this pearl flew out, instantly a burst of devilish power blocked the golden lights from Bao Bao's yin-yang stretching rod. It kept counteracting the attacks of the golden lights. Beneath the stage, Saberbeard was moved inwardly as he revealed a trace of pleasant surprise. He sent his voice to Exantonwin. This lion divine beast is going to explode his beast core and die together with that stinky monkey. A trace of wildness was revealed from Xian Tianwen's eyes. Good, kill that stinky monkey. At most, it will be a tie. If it's a tie, according to the rules, the challenger will lose, haha. According to the rules, if it was a tie, it would depend on the level of the winning match. For example, if both parties had one win, one tie, and one loss, then, the higher the level of the winning match, the winner would be the winner. For example, the floating snow house and the heavenly punishing villa. For the third level, the floating snow house would win. For the second level, it would be a tie if both parties died together. For the first level, if Yin Beifei won, then the heavenly punishing villa would win. The heavenly punishing villa had won the first round of the competition. Even if the overall result was a tie, they would still be considered the winner if they won with a small result. In general, under the situation of a tie, the higher the level of the winning match, the more advantageous it would be. Bao Bao had the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey and was experienced and knowledgeable. Suddenly, he remembered something and shivered inwardly. Suddenly, he remembered something and a terrifying thought flashed across his mind. Explode the beast core. Exploding the beast core was the same as a human martial artist exploding their divine soul. This was a suicide attack that would destroy one's body and soul. Once the beast core exploded, it would be the same as a supreme Tao elite warrior exploding their divine soul. It would be irreparable and they would die for sure. Even the Creator could not save them. In a supreme Tao stage, the death of the body did not necessarily mean death. However, the death of the divine soul and the beast core will be true death. It would be death in the truest sense. Thinking here, Bao Bao was not careless at all. He withdrew the golden lights from his entire body, and with a somersault, he activated a powerful spiritual talisman from his hand to cover the lion divine beast. Dragon Breath Seal. This was a life-saving tool given to Bao Bao by Qin Wuxuan. Unexpectedly, it was put to use. This Dragon Breath Seal was equivalent to the strongest attack from an 8th Calamity Transformation Supreme Tao Warrior. When it exploded with a loud rumble, the wide coverage wrapped the beast core of the lion divine beast. Boom! The dragon breath that smashed onto the beast core ruthlessly caused the beast core to cry endlessly. Its hissing sound shook the sky. Bao Bao did not linger as he swept the yin-yang stretching rod across and smashed onto the beast core again. Boom! Another strike. Although the beast core and the divine soul could endure far more powerful attacks than the body, it was still not enough. Even for the divine soul and the beast core, it could not endure such attacks. When the beast core was attacked twice, the biting cold blue lights instantly dimmed. At this moment, Bao Bao's gigantic body appeared. Suddenly, he opened his mouth. As soon as he opened his mouth, it seemed as if the heavenly river was hanging there. A burst of wild absorption power, as if the demonic wind from the 9 serene hells swallowed the beast core. Innate divine skill, devour. The beast core let out a miserable cry. Under this wild, wave-like temperament, it held on with all its might and could not resist this absorption power. The golden lights kept expanding and the blue lights kept dimming. The golden light was like a greedy, ferocious beast, swallowing the blue light that was constantly being extinguished, one by one, continuously swallowing. In an instant, the blue light had completely disappeared. Bao Bao let out a few gurgling sounds from his throat, and had already swallowed the beast core completely. The divine skill of the immemorial spiritual monkey was terrifying to such extent. Even Saberbeard drew a breath of cold air when he saw it. He hissed, "Such monstrous talent! This stinky monkey, the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey, is extremely pure. Taoist Tianwan, if this stinky monkey is allowed to grow, in the future, his threat will not lose to that Qin Wuxuan." Xian Tianwen's entire body went limp. As he watched the scene of the beast core getting swallowed, even the calm heavenly emperor could not refrain from sighing inwardly. Sorrow welled up from within. His hands that hid inside the sleeves trembled lightly. Bao Bao propped himself up with the yin-yang stretching rod and kept pounding his chest with one hand. Finally, that demonic core lost its presence completely and was completely refined into Bao Bao's stomach. It had become Bao Bao's food. Absorbing this beast core would save him at least 100 years of hard work. For your information, before this beast core was sealed, it was at least a divine beast at the 6th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Although its power had decreased slightly after it was sealed, it was still extraordinary. Since it was an immemorial desolate beast, its supreme Tao essence blood was extremely pure. Because of this, it benefited Bao Bao. Ha ha ha! Bao Bao laughed proudly. Amidst his laughter, the golden lights kept condensing and shrinking. His body also gradually became smaller. After he had restored his original appearance, Bao Bao grabbed the yin-yang stretching rod and disappeared from his palm. When he was using the yin-yang stretching rod, it was a rod. When he was not using it, it could transform into the qi of the universe and conceal itself. It was incredibly marvelous. Bao Bao had one. Instantly, Yin Beifei's entire spirit collapsed. He opened his eyes widely and looked at Bao Bao, who was showing off on the Xianyuan stage. Disbelief filled his eyes. Unwillingness and despair were written all over the face of this heavenly punishing villa master. Yin Beifei, I already told you to go back and prepare to make room. Why are you still standing here in a daze? Ha ha ha. Bao Bao would never mind to beat a drowning dog. He thought about how his boss had been bullied by these powerhouses for so many years. Today, he could finally hold his head high. One could imagine the joy Bao Bao felt inwardly. Like a statue, Yin Beifei was stupefied and did not utter a word. It was as if he was petrified. Xian Yuanba jumped onto the stage. For the second round, the floating snow house won. The floating snow house won 2 out of 3 rounds and replaced the heavenly punishing villa to gain a spot in the heavenly Emperor 8 gates. The heavenly punishing villa is out. In 3 months, move 300,000 miles away from the heavenly Emperor mountain. Suddenly, Yin Beifei gave a loud roar and spat out a mouthful of blood. Xi and Tianwen could not help but twitch slightly. The anger inside his heart burned even more fiercely. At this moment, Qin Wushuang just happened to shoot his leisurely gaze over. He stayed calm and unruffled for a moment on Xi and Tianwen's face. Then, he let out a meaningful smile and turned around. Xi and Tianwen glared at Qin Wushuang and felt furious inwardly. Qin Wushuang, just be proud for a few days. Let's see how long you can be proud. When the Heavenly Emperor competition is over, if I do not play with the Qin clan until they collapse, I will write my name backwards. Such ruthless words could only comfort himself inwardly. It would not help the current situation at all. For the third round, the Heavenly Punishing Villa was out, and the Floating Snow House won. After this battle, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain Outer Challenge competition entered a new peak. For the fourth round, the 100 Swords sect challenged the 1,000 Feather sect. This was another continuation of the battle between the Xian clan and the Qin clan. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 863. When the Bailey family was challenged by the Vase Mountain, Qin Wushuang sent Fire Qilin to help. Now, it seemed that he had made a mountain out of a molehill. Now that the 1,000 Feather sect was facing the challenge from the 100 Sword sect, with the information from Vase Mountain, the 1,000 Feather sect had a preliminary understanding of the 100 Sword sect's strength and general situation, and their chances of victory were much higher. Even though they didn't have a divine beast to assist them, Qin Wushuang had specially borrowed an 8th Tribulation Divine Dao battle armor. Just this equipment alone was enough to guarantee that the 1,000 Crane sect would be in an invincible position in the third grade battle. The situation of 100 Sword sect was not much different from Vase Mountain. In the first round, they couldn't do anything at all. Other than sealing the beast's breath, there was nothing else worth mentioning. On the 1,000 Feather sect side, apart from the 2 Supreme Dao Realm sect masters, there were also experts who were close to the Supreme Dao Realm. Under the protection of the 8th Tribulation Transformation Supreme Dao battle armor and equipped with decent offensive equipment, victory was within Qin Wushuang's expectations. On the contrary, ever since Xi and Tianwen lost at the Vase Mountain, he no longer held much hope for the 100 Swords sect. Now, he was somewhat regretful. If he had known earlier, he would have concentrated his advantage to protect the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect. Lending the sealed beast souls to the 100 Swords sect and Vase Mountain only to end up like this was truly a double loss. If the 2 sealed beast souls lent to the 100 Swords sect and the Vase Mountain were all lent to the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect, the Heavenly Punishing Villa's chances of winning the third-tier battle were still very high. Their advantages were not concentrated and were scattered, resulting in a complete defeat. Not to mention the 100 Swords sect and the Vase Mountain, even the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect had a bleak future. Now that the Heavenly Punishing Villa had been eliminated, the Sound of Thunder sect would not be far away. Xi and Tianwen was already in high and vigorous spirits before the start of the competition. Gradually, he became angry and almost went mad. Up to this point, he had gradually calmed down. After Saberbeard's guidance, he also realized that it was a challenge from the external forces. Even if he lost, it would be fine. As long as the battle for Heavenly Emperor was in his hands, the situation could still be controlled. Therefore, now Xi and Tianwen did not pay attention to the outside challenges. He did not care about these gains and losses and concentrated on the Heavenly Emperor competition. The failure on the outside made Xian Tianwen even more determined. He also knew that the Heavenly Emperor competition was the last chance for the Xian clan. If something were to happen during the Heavenly Emperor competition, this Heavenly Emperor mountain pageant would become the funeral of the Xian clan. If the Yun clan obtained the position of Celestial Emperor, that would be fine. If the Qin clan seized the Heavenly Emperor's seat, then the Xian clan would never have the chance to rise again. Xian Tianwen's calmness was reasonable. Indeed, as he had expected, the Hundred Sword sect was a hopeless case. After being defeated in the first round, there was no suspense at all. Even though the Thousand Crane sect had strategically given up on the second round as well, the sect master of the Thousand Crane sect, Luo Baiyu, didn't give the Hundred Sword sect any chance since the third round began. On the other hand, the Hundred Sword sect seemed to have lost their will to fight after witnessing Vase Mountain's defeat, and simply gave up on resisting after a while. Xian Tianwen did not have the time to be angry. How could he know that the Hundred Sword sect's resistance in the end was also due to the Qin clan? Although Wu Xuanhu, the sect master of the Hundred Sword sect, didn't know that his son, Wu Dingyuan, was the biggest spy, but Wu Dingyuan's analysis of the situation, as well as some methods of self-preservation, made Wu Xuanhu feel enlightened at this sensitive time. Wu Xuanhu had listened to his son's advice and gave up resisting. Although he had lost, Wu Xuanhu was not depressed at all. It was because he knew that the strength of the Hundred Sword sect was far inferior to the Thousand Crane sect. This was not something that could be made up in 1 or 2 days. What made him feel gratified was that his son, Wu Dingyuan, seemed to have matured. His analysis and grasp of the situation was sharper than his father, the leader of a sect. To any father who wished for his son to succeed, most likely the son's future was more worthy of joy than his own. In terms of the external competition, there were 4 battles between the Qin clan and the Xian clan. Then, without exception, the Qin clan had won the 3 battles that had ended. Some busybodies had already exaggerated this and formed a positive hint. They had guided the direction of public opinion. For the Qin clan, the 100 Lane House, the Floating Snow House, and the Thousand Crane sect had all won. For those supported by the Xian clan, the Vase Mountain, the Heavenly Punishing Villa, and the Hundred Sword sect had all won 100 times more. There was one more battle between the Misty Sword sect and the Sound of Thunder sect. Although the victor had not been determined, with the interference of the flowing Sound Valley, the Sound of Thunder sect was not optimistic at all. Therefore, one could almost say that up to this point, the Xian clan had been completely defeated. For the challenge competition, the 5th battle was also the most tangled triangle. Of course, the Xianyuan clan had sent 3 martial artists of different levels to be sparring partners and had solved a lot of problems. The battles for this battle were the Misty Sword sect against the Sound of Thunder sect, and the Flowing Sound Valley against the sparring partners of the Xianyuan clan. Xianyuan Ba started to announce the list of the 4 participating parties. These 2 battles had started at the same time in 2 different battle zones. This was to avoid any possibility of cheating due to the time difference. For the Misty Sword sect, they had almost copied the pattern of the Floating Snow House. The 3rd tier of the Misty Sword sect was the 2nd suzerain of the Misty Sword sect. He was also an elite warrior of the Supreme Dao stage. He was weaker than Qin Chongyang and more powerful than Qin Taichong. The 2nd tier was the Purple Flame Electric Beast that Qin Wushuang had loaned to them. The Purple Flame Electric Beast had just passed the first calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. As the 2nd tier, he did not hold any advantage against the Sealed Beast Soul at the 4th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. However, the problem was that the equipment and weapons that Qin Wushuang had given to the Purple Flame Electric Beast were not weaker than Bao Bao's. Most importantly, the Purple Flame Electric Beast was a mutated divine beast. His innate divine skills were also indescribably powerful. When fighting against Bao Bao, it would be hard to say who would win. It would not be difficult to deal with the Sealed Beast Soul. It was exactly the same strategy as the Floating Snow House. They would fight to the death for the first 2 rounds. For the 3rd round, they would not even need to fight. They would be depressed to death at the sound of Thunder Sect. In fact, Ding Qijian, the suzerain of the Misty Sword Sect, could not beat Lei Ming. However, to determine the winner in 3 rounds, it would make Lei Ming the same as Yin Beifei. Although he had strength, he could not unleash it. Just as Qin Wushuang had expected, in the 3rd round, Ding Yujian, the second suzerain of the Misty Sword Sect, did not give the other party any chance. He used his incomparably fast sword moves to defeat the other party straightforwardly. Clearly, Lei Ming had expected this result. Therefore, he gave the sealed beast's soul a death order. Regardless, he must fight for a draw. Even if he had to fight to the death with his opponent, he must fight. However, with the experience from Bao Bao's battle, of course Qin Wushuang would not let the Purple Flame Electric Beast suffer a second loss. Before the Purple Flame Electric Beast went on the stage, he repeatedly reminded him to be on guard against the self-detonation of the other party's beast core and divine soul. Although the Purple Flame Electric Beast was a violent divine beast, he was a clever Zhang Fei, for he was meticulous. Different from Bao Bao's passionate fighting style, the Purple Flame Electric Beast did not refuse to use his brain in his violent fighting style. In other words, despite his rough appearance, the Purple Flame Electric Beast had a meticulous side. The weapon of the Purple Flame Electric Beast was also a weapon at the 5th or 6th calamity of the genuine Supreme Dao stage. It was a pair of flowing cloud flying claws. This flying claw was compatible with the attacks of the Purple Flame Electric Beast. Besides this weapon, Qin Wushuang also equipped Qin Wushuang with a Fire Phoenix armor. It could provide 3 times the divine power of the fire attribute. This had simply armed the Purple Flame Electric Beast to the teeth. While he used the flowing cloud flying claws to torture his opponent, he used the Supreme Dao Genuine Fire to refine his opponent. This Supreme Dao Genuine Fire was also the fire soul that the Purple Flame Electric Beast had extracted from the island of Fire Kylan. The power of the immemorial spiritual fire was not an exaggeration. With the support of the Fire Phoenix armor, the attack formed by this Supreme Dao Genuine Fire had the power to burn everything in the area. Inside the Sea of Fire on the Xian Yuan stage, the Purple Flame Electric Beast unleashed his divine power. That sealed beast soul was also determined to fight to the death with the Purple Flame Electric Beast. It tried to force out the demonic core several times, yet the Purple Flame Electric Beast was on guard against this point of his opponent. As soon as the opponent showed signs of forcing out the demonic core, his attack would shoot out like splashing water. He would not even have the chance to force out the demonic core. The Purple Flame Electric Beast's violent fighting style was exactly the same as Bao Bao's. The attacks of the flowing cloud, flying claws left wounds on the body of the sealed beast soul. This flying claw was a genuine Supreme Dao weapon. Although it did not hit the target directly, its power was terrifying even with a scratch. The more the Purple Flame Electric Beast fought, the braver he became. The myriad spiritual fire burned into a sea of fire and almost suffocated his opponent. The presence of the demonic core also became weaker. With a rumbling sound, his body exploded. That sealed beast soul did not hesitate to destroy his body to lure out the demonic core. It formed into a ball of incomparably devilish lights. Like a falling meteor, it shot towards the Purple Flame Electric Beast directly. This was a self-exploding attack. The Purple Flame Electric Beast paid attention to this move and did not fall into the trap. He initiated the Fire Phoenix armor to the extreme as red lights emerged from his entire body. Balls of flames kept scuttling out from his body. The entire body of the Purple Flame Electric Beast was like a ball of raging flames, like a phoenix that had been reborn from the fire. The temperament that gushed out like a volcano and the destructive high temperature formed circles of fire defense around the Purple Flame Electric Beast body. At this time, suddenly, the Purple Flame Electric Beast also opened his mouth and gave a roar. From his white steel teeth, a burst of lightning shot out directly. This lightning was purple in color. The purple divine lightning shot out with a rumbling sound and hit the demonic core without any warning. Innate divine skill, purple lightning, sudden thunder. Boom! Immediately, the power of this purple lightning struck the demonic core to become dim and lifeless. It could not help but tremble. With a sudden clap of thunder, the demonic core was completely shattered. With a rumbling sound, it shot out in all directions and turned into fine powder. The purple flame electric beast kept roaring madly. With a sweep of the flames, he rolled in the scattered presence of the shattered demonic core. As soon as this fire rolled in, all the impurities in the surrounding were burned into ashes without leaving a single trace. Second round, purple flame electric beast, victory. Laming's expression instantly darkened. This purple flame electric beast used the thunderbolt technique in front of the sound of thunder sect. This was simply a slap in the face. The sound of thunder sect eliminated. The misty sword sect, victory, advanced to the second round. If the flowing sound valley won, then the flowing sound valley would decide the winner and the spot would be set. If the flowing sound valley lost, then the misty sword sect would directly obtain a spot. If you want to know what will happen next, please log on to www.chitian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 864. With the victory of the Misty Sword sect, regardless of the final result, it could be said that the powerhouse supported by the Heavenly Emperor Exian clan had lost completely. At this moment, Exian Tianwen was much calmer than in the beginning. He closed his eyes and ignored them. Out of sight, out of mind. In the past, the elite warriors sent out by the Xianyuan clan would have more than 50% chance of winning. It would be around 50 to 60%. This time, the Flowing Sound Valley could be said to be unlucky. They were defeated by the elite warriors of the Xianyuan clan and did not have the chance to participate in the next round. This result had benefited the Misty Sword sect as they had acquired the spot vacated by the Sound of Thunder sect. This way, the result of the outer challenge competition was completely decided. Those who were observant could see that in the competition for the 5 spots, besides the Great Second Gate winning against the mysterious Reform Gate, the ones who had the last laugh were all powerhouses supported by the Qin clan. From the beginning, when the 100 Lane House suddenly used the name of the Qin clan, all the way to the Floating Snow House, Thousand Feather sect, and Misty Sword sect had successfully acquired the spots. This was definitely not a coincidence. Even when Xin Yuan Ba saw the final result, he could not refrain from shaking his head slightly. Such result was too unexpected. In the previous confrontation with the Exian clan, the Qin clan could only defend. Who would have thought that the counterattack of the Qin clan would come with such ferocious momentum? Following the end of the challenge competition for the outer powerhouses, the first segment also ended perfectly. Indeed, this segment was brilliant and varied. All the powerhouses that came to watch were gasping in amazement. Comparing the gains and losses of the challenge competition with the strength of his own clan, he understood where the gap was, and this gave him more motivation. Naturally, this moment was the best time to educate the young disciples. The stimulation of such a grand scene would be the most beneficial to urge the young people to train actively. They would strive for the opportunity to participate in this pageant in the future. After the challenge competition had ended, the 100 Lane clan and Thousand Feather sect did not hide anything. Since everyone knew that they were walking the path of the Qin clan, there was no need to hide anything. They also fought fiercely with the Floating Snow House and Misty Sword sect. They had clearly formed a small group. When outsiders looked at this powerhouse, they were more or less surprised. Among the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates, they already occupied 4 spots. There was also the Qin clan challenging the Heavenly Emperor's seat. If the Qin clan succeeded in their challenge, the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain would fall completely into their hands. Of course, the majority of the neutral sects had a favorable impression of the Qin clan. They felt that if the Qin clan were to acquire the Heavenly Emperor's seat, it would be beneficial to the development of all sects in the Xianyuan Mound. Inside the main tent of the Qin clan, the 3 major chiefs and a few minor chiefs were present. The leaders of the 4 great sects were also present. This time, they were able to succeed because of the help of the Qin clan. Without the help of the Qin clan, It could be said that none of the four houses could seize a spot to enter the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. Although the Floating Snow House and the Misty Sword sect did not possess the strength to contend against the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect, it was likely that the Hundredly Clan and the Thousand Feather sect were also unable to withstand the challenge from the Vase Mound Mountain and the Hundred Sword sect. Therefore, they were sincerely convinced this time. Luo Baiyu, in particular, felt very lucky. Initially, when Bai Liguang urged him to seek refuge with the Qin clan, he was more or less hesitant. Now it seemed that his hesitation at that time was truly stupid. If he had not sought refuge with the Qin clan, certainly the current Thousand Feather sect would have been disqualified with dust and dirt. For this point, one could refer to the outcome of the mysterious Reform Gate. The mysterious Reform Gate did not listen to their advice, and in the end, they were swept out by the Great Second Gate. It was apparent how important it was to have the support of a powerful powerhouse. And choosing the right powerful force, that is, choosing the right lore of the legends, was even more important. Although they all had the support of a powerful powerhouse, the sects that chose the Xian clan had suffered a complete defeat. This also made Luo Baiyu feel more emotional. Everyone, in the past I was ignorant and did not know the exceptional skills of the head chief Qin. Fortunately, I realized my mistake and walked on the right path. Haha, head chief, I will not speak of other things. In the future, the Thousand Feather sect will follow the Qin clan's lead. We will follow their orders. Haha, brother Baiyu, now you're finally enlightened, right? Haha. Bai Liguang was extremely proud. As the one who recommended him, he still felt proud. Ding Qijian of the Misty Sword sect also felt excited. As he was a new powerhouse, he was more careful with his words. However, at this moment, he also gathered his courage and said, "Friends, this challenge has fully proved that the Xian clan is only a paper tiger. The Qin clan is the most qualified and prestigious candidate for the Heavenly Emperor. I suggest that in the future, the four of us must unite and be determined. We must not be intimidated by the temptation and threats from the outside world. As long as we stick together, regardless of those threats or temptations, we will not let them in." These words were what Qin Wushuang liked to hear. Bai Liguang was a smart person, as he immediately agreed. Qijian is right. The most crucial point is to be determined. I am ashamed to say that previously under the despotic power of the Xian clan, we made a stupid choice. However, I promise that in the future, under the leadership of the Qin clan with both ability and integrity, we will stand firm and not let those evil spirits infiltrate. These were not empty words. Currently, he was Qin Wushuang's puppet and would not be able to resist the Qin clan. Additionally, being a puppet of the Qin clan would bring him many benefits. He would be an idiot to betray the Qin clan. Luo Baiyu was not willing to be outdone. Yes, Brother Guang has spoken my mind. When those chiefs of the Qin clan saw that these usually insufferably arrogant giants were obedient before Qin Wushuang, although they still felt some resentment inwardly, they were still incredibly proud. After all, giants like Luo Baiyu and Bai Liguang had become famous earlier than second chief Qin Yunran. They also possessed more tyrannical strength. Before head chief Qin Wushuang, they were obedient like little children. Indeed, such sense of accomplishment made them feel incredibly proud. The Qin clan had truly risen. On the contrary, Mu Rong Qianji was extremely calm. His strength was inferior to Luo Baiyu and Bai Liguang, and he was even weaker than Ding Qijian of the Misty Sword sect. However, his position was much higher than those three. Just the identity of being the father-in-law of the head chief of the Qin clan was enough to raise Mu Rong Qianji's position infinitely. Not to mention, Mu Rong Qianji's strength was inferior because he was young and had just entered the supreme Dao stage. However, with his foundation and the care of his future son-in-law, it would not be a myth for his future achievements to surpass Bai Liguang and the others. Junior brother Mu Rong, you should also say a few words, haha. Bai Liguang more or less tried to flatter him. Mu Rong Qianji revealed an indifferent smile. Everyone here is a veteran elite warrior of the supreme Dao stage. Compared to everyone, I am still a junior. Since everyone has already spoken thoroughly, I have nothing more to say. The Qin clan has a big breadth of mind and great ambition to strengthen the image of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. As their assistant, we only need to fulfill our responsibilities and do our job well. This will be the best reward to the Qin clan. What do you say? Yes, yes. Junior brother Qinji's words hit the nail on the head. Bai Li Guang chuckled. At this moment, Qin Wushuang opened his mouth. Chiefs of all the clans, we are all family. I will not speak any courteous words. The Heavenly Emperor Mountain has gone through a calamity and many things are waiting to be done. Perhaps the outside world has many doubts about whether the Qin clan can seize the Heavenly Emperor's seat. However, your performance has already caused them to increase their attention to the Qin clan. In the past, no one thought highly of the Qin clan. Now, no matter what, the Qin clan is getting some attention, right? Bai Li Guang said with righteous indignation. That's because those people are short-sighted. Humph. The four of us are supported by the Qin clan, and we all won. Could this not explain the problem? Yes, this is the irresistible trend. If you don't understand, then there is something wrong with your head. Luo Baiyu agreed. Qin Wushuang said with an indifferent smile. The outer challenge and the Heavenly Emperor competition are two different matters. Everyone, before the challenge, I promise that if you can succeed, each of you will have a 6 Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon as a reward. Now, I will not go back on my words. I will fulfill it on the spot. When the 4-6 Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapons were presented before everyone, instantly it made their eyes light up. After each of them got their weapons, they were unable to put them down and appeared to be unable to contain their joy. It was not their fault. After all, these sects were not immemorial sections. Their foundation was far less profound than the 3 major sections. A 2nd Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon was already the best treasure they could take out. Now, with a 6th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon in hand, wouldn't it feel like a dream? Previously, for the equipment I loaned to you, each of you have a Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon. I can lend it to you for 1,000 years. Depending on your performance in the future, I will consider whether to renew it. In short, if you perform well enough, you can continue to borrow this 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon indefinitely. When Qin Wushuang spoke up to this point, he did not continue. Everyone here were smart people. For reverse reasoning, there was no need for him to elaborate. Yes, head chief, we must work hard to perform. Yes, we will do whatever you say in the future. Qin Wushuang waved his hand. Let's stop here for today. After everyone had dispersed, Mu Rong Qinji also walked outside. Qin Wushuang said with a smile, Lord Mu Rong, please stay. Father, Brother Wushuang still has something to say to you. After everyone else had dispersed, Qin Wushuang said, Lord Mu Rong, under the situation just now, it's not appropriate to make any extra promises to the floating snow house. I don't plan to give the 9th Calamity Transformation Supreme Dao weapon to the floating snow house. I have prepared a 6th Calamity Genuine Supreme Dao weapon for you. However, it's not appropriate to announce it to the public for now. Mu Rong Qinji was greatly shocked. A 6th Calamity Genuine Supreme Dao weapon. Mu Rong Su was very calm. He said with a smile, Father, Brother Wushuang has already thought about it. He is afraid that the 6th Calamity Genuine Supreme Dao weapon will bring disaster to the floating snow house. Therefore, he doesn't plan to announce it. Mu Rong Qinji naturally understood and nodded continuously. He knew that with his special identity, he would certainly receive extra care. However, he did not expect to receive such a generous gift. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 865. Inside the main tent of the Xian clan, Xan Tianwen, Saber Beard, and Xan Tianchen were all present. Those 4 defeated sect leaders sat on both sides with their heads hung down in disappointment. Xian Tianwen did not lecture them. Instead, he opened his eyes widely and swept across the entire scene. He said lightly, "What? Each of you can't raise your head after losing." The leaders of the four major sects raised their heads unconsciously. Xi and Tianwen's imposing manner was too powerful. They did not dare to lower their heads and ignore him. "Your Majesty, this time we lost with too much grievance." Yin Beifei could not hold back, especially for the heavenly punishing villa and the sound of thunder sect. In terms of true strength, the floating snow house and the misty sword sect were indeed much inferior to them. However, due to various reasons, they were the ones that were eliminated in the end. It was not because they lacked power, but because of the use of tactics and the vicious moves of their opponents. Xi and Tianchen said with a bitter smile, "Two chiefs, I also feel sorry for you. This is truly unexpected. Who knew that the Qin clan had so many trump cards? In their hands, Transformation Supreme Dao weapons seem to be ordinary weapons. When did the Qin clan become this extravagant?" Suddenly, Saber Beard said lightly, "Tianchen, it's impossible for the Qin clan to have so many pieces of equipment. Don't forget that Qin Wushuang is the one that inherited the immemorial formation. In my opinion, he already inherited many pieces of supreme equipment from the immemorial formation. The weapon used by that stinky monkey is at the 5th or 6th calamity of the genuine supreme Dao stage. Besides the Totem clan in the Tian Xian land, who else has a 6th calamity genuine supreme Dao weapon?" Xi and Tianchen said with grief, "That kid Qin Wushuang is truly lucky. He had taken all the benefits." Sir Saber Beard, is that immemorial formation truly that mysterious? Humph, that formation is not a bluff. It's rumored that the owner is not from the Tian Xian land. He is a heavenly god that has surpassed the genuine supreme Dao stage. Heavenly god. These two deafening words caused everyone to be shocked as they revealed a fanatical look from their eyes. To the Tian Xian land, the heavenly god was a paramount and unreachable existence. One could only achieve the Tao of the heavenly god by dashing to the Galaxia. However, in the recent tens and thousands of years, was there an existence that dashed to the Galaxia? Not a single one. Even if the Totem clan practiced to the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage, they still couldn't pass through the 9 tribulations. Soaring to the Milky Way was just an illusion. As soon as Xan Tianwen thought about how Qin Wushuang had inherited that formation, a burst of anger scuttled from his bones. If that Qin Wushuang was allowed to grow, in the future, not only would the Xian clan not have a place to stand at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, they would not be able to gain a foothold in the entire Xianyuan Mound or even the Tian Xian land. Fellow Taoist Saberbeard, we must win this Heavenly Emperor battle. We can no longer afford to lose. Xi and Tianwen looked at Saberbeard directly. Saberbeard nodded solemnly. Taoist Tianwen, I asked you to think of a way to get the participant list of the Qin clan. Did you get it? Xi and Tianwen said with a bitter smile. For sure, this list of participants will be kept secret. It was impossible for the Xian Yuan family to reveal it. This was a crime punishable by death. Xian Yuan Ba didn't dare to reveal it either. Although I am the Celestial Emperor, there is nothing special in front of the Xian Yuan clan. If we can get the list of participants, it will be easier to handle. Now, I don't know how the Qin clan will play their cards. In the end, there is still some suspense in this battle, Saberbeard said with a low voice. After experiencing the power of Qin Wushuang again and again, Saberbeard did not dare to boast. Your Majesty, Sir Saberbeard, we all know how many people the Qin clan has. Qin Wushuang's divine beasts have already represented other powerhouses. They will not come out to fight again. I think we have a great chance of winning. For the Qin clan, even if Qin Xiaodian can fight, it might not be useful, Xi and Tianchen said. Speculating according to the usual rules, the trump card of the Qin clan is Qin Wushuang, Qin Xiaotian, Qin Yunran, and Qin Chongyang. For Qin Yunran and Qin Chongyang, regardless of who goes out to fight, when they meet Tianchen with the twin sealed bee souls, they can at least fight to a draw. Even if Qin Yunran goes out to fight with the 6th Calamity genuine supreme Dao weapon, it will not be enough to defeat Tiantian and the twin sealed beast souls. Saber-Beard analyzed. After a moment of silence, Xi and Tianwen nodded. The genuine supreme Dao 6 calamity weapon will at most double his strength. For the twin sealed beast souls plus Tiantian, it will be 3 against 1. For this battle, it would be impossible for Tiantian to not even get draw. For the second round, will they send Qin Shaodian or Qin Wushuang? Their strength is almost equal. It's possible for them to go first. Saber-Beard said, "Didn't you say Qin Shaodian is severely injured and cannot fight?" Xi and Tianwen said with a bitter smile, "That's the case according to the usual rules. However, for that kid Qin Wushuang, if he gets a divine medicine that defies the natural order, it's not impossible for him to appear lively and vigorous. I see the Qin clan is confident. Most likely Qin Shaodian can fight." The other people nodded in deep agreement. "Yes, Your Majesty, the Qin clan is extremely cunning. We must guard against them. Each time we have suffered from underestimating them. This time, we would rather overestimate them than underestimate them. Saber-Beard, how much assurance do you have to defeat that Qin Shaodian?" Suddenly, Xan Tianwen asked. Saber-Beard revealed an indifferent smile. Qin Shaodian is only at the second calamity of the transformation supreme Dao stage. After being injured for so long, certainly he did not increase his strength. Now, to win against him, I definitely have more than 90% assurance. This trip to the Heavenly Fire's southern border, I acquired a few divine skills that are incredibly powerful. By that time, I will kill Qin Shaodian in one breath and avenge your clan. Xi and Tianwen nodded fiercely. All right, if I meet Qin Shaodian, certainly he is not my opponent now. On the other hand, that Qin Wushuang. Yes, this Qin Wushuang is rather worrisome. However, even if he had fortuitous opportunities, we also had fortuitous opportunities at the southern border. In the end, he is not as powerful as us. Daoist Tianwen, you must not have a shadow in your heart. Xi and Tianwen said with a cold sneer. Shadow in my heart? That time he was lucky and I was careless. Now, how could I suffer that loss again? Isn't it just a puppet clone? If I am on guard, I will not be afraid of him. Yes, if Tiantian can win that round, we will be absolutely safe. If Tiantian can draw, we will also have 80% assurance. Even if Tiantian cannot win, you and I can control the situation. Brother Tianwen, remember, regardless of who you or I encounter Qin Wushuang, you must provoke him into a life and death battle. If this person does not die, even if we win this time, we will certainly suffer a great loss in the future. It was apparent that Saber-Beard also restrained his fear of Qin Wushuang. Even though he had the confidence to win against him, he restrained his fear of Qin Wushuang's potential. All right, it's the best opportunity to kill him on the Xianyuan stage. Xi and Tianwen revealed a malevolent smile and raised his head to sweep across the entire scene. He said with an indifferent tone, "Everyone, no need to lament. Since the Xian clan has continued the Heavenly Emperor position, we will fight for benefits for everyone. It's not important whether you are at the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates or not. What's important is whether the Xian clan is on the Heavenly Emperor position. If the Xian clan is on the Heavenly Emperor position, you will also have a chance to open the God discarding door." Xi and Tiantian also advised, yes, the most important thing now is for everyone to unite. This time, we did not anticipate the enemy enough. When the Heavenly Emperor position is confirmed, we will kill Qin Wushuang and seize his equipment and treasures. By that time, the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain will naturally fall into the hands of the Xian clan. When the God discarding door opens, there will be great fortuitous opportunities. This way, everyone will only wait for 500 years. In the next 500 years, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain pageant will open and everyone can challenge again. You will climb back up from where you fell. Yin Beifei and Lei Ming exchanged a glance and felt that most likely this was the only choice at the moment. Now, even if they were to complain about the Xian clan inwardly, it would be inappropriate for them to voice it out. Now, they would only have hope by hugging the Xian clan's thigh. Your Majesty, then we will wish the Xian clan to seize the Heavenly Emperor position for the third time. We will conceal our strength and bide our time for 500 years, waiting for your guidance. Xian Tianwen revealed a satisfied smile and said, "That's how it should be. Don't be discouraged. With the Xian clan on the throne, we will not neglect you old officials." "Thank you, Your Majesty." At this moment, they could only flatter the Xian clan and follow behind them. They had no other choice. Additionally, with the double insurance of the Heavenly Emperor and Saberbeard, they were confident that the Xian clan could seize the Heavenly Emperor position. After a short 3 days of rest, the second part of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain Pageant finally opened its curtains again. Finally, the three powerhouses unveiled their mysterious veil and no longer concealed themselves. They revealed their fangs and prepared for this final fight. This was the competition for the Heavenly Emperor position, the competition for the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, and the competition for future benefits. Even the Qin and Yun clans that were usually on good terms with each other put away their courtesy. When Xian Yuanba looked at the situation of the three powerhouses, he was extremely satisfied. He said with a smile, "Everyone, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain Pageant that happens once every 500 years has finally welcomed its peak. Who will take the Heavenly Emperor position? Where will the Heavenly Emperor Mountain go in the future? Next, let these three old sects give us the answer." The representatives of the three houses walked up to the Xian Yuan stage from 3 different directions and waved their hands to pay their respects. This could be said as a strategy to rope in popularity and by people's hearts. At this moment, the question of who was more popular and who was less popular could be seen from the intensity of the cheers. The Xian clan was the current Heavenly Emperor Gate and was the first to go up the stage. Cheers emerged from all directions and thunderous applause sounded. However, one could see that many people were expressionless. They were not satisfied with the rule of the Xian clan as much as the applause and cheers. Usually, the Yun clan kept a low profile. Therefore, the applause they received was not exaggerated. On the contrary, when Qin Wushuang went up the stage, the cheers sounded like a tsunami from all directions. The applause lasted for a long time and continued like rolling spring thunder. People's hearts. This was the people's hearts. Although such high standard treatment was also related to Qin Wushuang's strong rise and his reputation. The reputation of the Qin family over the years still allowed them to earn enough cheers. The Qin clan had won the hearts of the people. Although Xian Yuanba saw this scene, he did not express any opinion. Instead, he said with a smile, "3 chiefs, the same old rules. You must draw lots to decide your battle situation. Are you all ready?" Xian Yuanba raised his eyebrow and looked at these 3. These 3 did not act pretentious, as they all nodded and walked towards the bamboo tube for drawing lots. It seemed that for such pageant, it was destined to be dramatic. As if destined by the heavens, the Qin clan would face the Xian clan. All the grudges seemed to be waiting for this stage to play out. The Yun clan had drawn the sparring partner of the Xian Yuan clan. To the Yun clan, it was not a bad draw. However, it was also not a good draw. It was because to acquire the Heavenly Emperor's seat, they must win twice in a row. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 866. The instant the drawing of lots appeared, Qin Wushuang and Xian Tianwen raised their heads at the same time. They glared at each other with piercing cold eyes and did not conceal the hatred in their eyes. At the same time, they had a strange thought. It seems that the Xian Yuan clan has done something to this lot, or else how could it be so coincidental each time? Anyways, it's fulfilling my wish. Instantly, the audience beneath the stage boiled with excitement. The Qin clan against the Xian clan. This was simply a predestined showdown. There were too many things to watch. Putting aside the grudges between the Qin and the Xian clan, just in the 4 battles of the challenge, The powerhouses supported by the Qin clan had completely defeated the 4 powerhouses supported by the Xian clan. This would inevitably escalate the flames of war. Would the Qin clan suppress the Xian clan in one spurt of energy, or would the Xian clan defeat the Qin clan and turn the tide? Objectively speaking, although the Qin clan had always been domineering, their weakness was also apparent. It was because, in fact, their absolute elite warriors were not stronger than the Xian clan. In fact, they were much weaker. The main reason was that the outside world knew that Qin Wushuang was severely injured. After all, Qin Wushuang was young. It was definitely unknown whether he could resist Xian Tianwen, an elite warrior that had been famous for many years. For the Xian clan, they had Heavenly Emperor Xian Tianwen, who was known as the #1 existence beneath the Totem clan. Among the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates, he was definitely the #1 elite warrior. With Saberbeard at a similar level, these 2 final elite warriors were enough to guarantee that the Xian clan would be in an invincible position. Therefore, although everyone was astonished by the performance of the Qin clan earlier, at the crucial moment, they still did not think highly of the Qin clan after a calm analysis. Of course, the Qin clan had Qin Wushuang, who excelled at creating miracles. Naturally, everyone had expectations and hoped that Qin Wushuang could create some miracles at such a major scene. Xin Yuanba started to announce the list. The list of the Xian clan: 3rd tier, Xian Tianxin; 2nd tier, Guardian Saberbeard; 1st tier, Xian Tianwen. This arrangement was not ambiguous at all. It was completely within everyone's expectations. Saberbeard and Xian Tianwen. These 2 elite warriors were equivalent to double insurance. Xin Yuanba looked at the Qin clan again and continued to speak. The Qin clan's battle list is as follows: the 3rd tier. Xin Yuanba deliberately paused for a moment. Clearly, he was trying to keep them in suspense. He shot a glance at the Qin clan, and there was slight astonishment in his eyes. Then, he glanced around the foot of the stage and continued to speak. The 3rd tier, the guardian divine beast of the Qin clan, the 1,000-feeler cloud chasing beast. 2nd gear, Qin Shaodian. 1st gear, Qin Wushuang. 1,000-feeler cloud chasing beast. What was that? Those who didn't know what was going on started to ask around and whisper to each other. Xian Tianwen and Saberbeard exchanged a glance and felt a burst of coldness from their backs. It seemed that he had been tricked by the Qin clan again. They were all veterans of the Jianghu. How could they not have heard of the 1,000-feeler cloud chasing beast? The 1,000-feeler cloud chasing beast of the past was of the same level as the golden cicada of the Karakoram immortal clan of the Illusion Heavenly Lake. If he was not sealed by the golden cicada, he would definitely be at the true supreme Tao level. In terms of experience, he would not be less than Xian Tianwen. Xian Tianxin's complexion changed drastically as he sent his voice. Your Majesty, Sir Saberbeard, when that 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast was at the Illusion Heavenly Lake, he once escorted Qin Wushuang out of the Ordeal Island. I didn't expect that he was bribed by Qin Wushuang. This 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast was a freelance martial artist and did not belong to any sect. Although he was active at the Illusion Heavenly Lake all year round, he was not considered a foreign powerhouse. Therefore, he did not hesitate to help the Qin clan. Xian Tianwen looked at Qin Wushuang with a profound gaze. Yet where was this 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast? He was incredibly familiar with those faces of the Qin clan. He did not even see Qin Shaodian. At this moment, a straightforward long whistle came from beneath the stage. Ha ha ha, Brother Wushuang, it's my turn, right? This voice came from 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast. He activated his body, and 10,000 long whiskers danced like tentacles. He already flew onto the Xian Yuan stage. When 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast shot a glance at Saberbeard, he was slightly stunned. Then he laughed. Saberbeard, are you also getting involved in this muddy water? Saberbeard said coldly. Chasing Cloud. When did you get involved with the Qin clan? 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast said lazily. You owe the Xian clan a favor. You must return it. I owe head Chief Qin a favor. Of course I must return it. TSK, TSK, Saberbeard, after not seeing you for 2,000 years, your strength is ahead of mine. Nice, you are truly exceptional. Clearly, these two divine beasts knew each other. No one would have expected to see them again under such circumstances. Upon hearing his words, Saberbeard gave a cold snort. Inwardly, he was worried. If this 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast had not been sealed for such a long time, his strength would not be less than Saberbeard's. Even in this case, it would be more than enough to deal with Xiantianshan. Even if he had the twin sealed beast souls, most likely he would not be able to unleash them before 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast. Firstly, clearly this 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast was close to the genuine supreme Tao stage. Secondly, the tens and thousands of tentacles of 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast were perfect for dealing with a group of elite warriors. Daoist Tianwen, you and I are carrying a heavy burden. Tianshan has no chance of winning against this cloud-chasing beast. Saberbeard said with a heavy tone. Clearly, Tianwen also saw through most of it. Tianshan, go up and try. If it's impossible, don't force yourself. Remember to admit defeat in time to protect yourself, Tianwen instructed. Since two elite warriors of the Xian clan had died, Tianwen's heart was also dripping blood. Now, on this problem, of course he was extremely cautious. If something were to happen to Tianshan, then he would truly become a lone commander. Please invite the third-tier competitor to the Xian Yuan stage. Xian Yuan Ba said loudly. Tianshan could only bite the bullet and walk up. Inwardly, he was already feeling somewhat timid. This 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast was an elite warrior at the quasi-genuine supreme Tao stage. Even if he could summon the twin-sealed beast souls, what could he do? The difference in strength was too great. It was not something that could be made up with more people. 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast remembered Qin Wushuang's instructions. As soon as he made a move, he must cause casualties. Before the other party could surrender, he must deliver a fatal blow. Therefore, when Xian Yuanba announced the start of the martial arts competition, 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast immediately urged all his tentacles to roll at Xiantianshan from all directions. When had Xiantianshan ever witnessed such power? Unconsciously, he flashed his body and plundered backwards rapidly. He would not dare to face it head-on. 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast let out an evil grin. All of a sudden, those tentacles opened up and formed a giant net that covered the sky. As it opened and closed in the sky, it wrapped the entire Xian Yuan stage. Suddenly, Tianwen's heart sank as he shouted, Tianshan, admit defeat. Tianshan dodged in the sky. Upon hearing these words, he cried out without hesitation, I admit defeat. When Xian Yuanba heard these words, he shouted, stop. Since one party admitted defeat, if the other party continued to attack, it would be considered a violation of the rules, and they would be disqualified. 1,000-feeler cloud-chasing beast stopped embarrassedly and shot a helpless glance at Qin Wushuang. There was some apology in his eyes. Regardless, the opponent was at the third or fourth calamity of the transformation supreme Tao stage. Clearly, it was impossible to kill him instantly. On the stage, if the other party was on guard, it would be impossible to kill him instantly. Qin Wushuang revealed a light smile. Whether or not to kill this Xiantianshan was secondary. Since the Xian clan was this cunning, there was no other way. He could not violate the rules to kill Xiantianshan, right? This way, those people watching the battle beneath the stage could not refrain from being dumbstruck. This was the Heavenly Emperor competition? How could they admit defeat before the battle even started? Could it be that this Xian clan truly did not plan to resist? Suffer a crushing defeat? What's going on? It's not exciting to admit defeat before the battle even started. How to fight? The difference between Xiantianshan and that divine B-senior is too great. They are not on the same level. He would be seeking death if he kept fighting. That divine B-senior's attack was fatal. Surrendering is the wisest choice. This way, the Xian clan will lose for sure. What do you know? The Xian clan can win or lose this first round. The true highlight is Saberbeard and His Majesty Xian Tianwen. Qin Shaotian is severely injured, and Qin Wushuang is still young. No matter how you look at it, the Qin clan is at a disadvantage. Therefore, the Xian clan is betting on the last 2 rounds. The words of this person had won the approval of many people. Analyzing the situation, the Xian clan was indeed fighting for the last 2 rounds. In terms of Xian Tianshun, even if the Qin clan did not send a divine beast and sent Qin Yunran, Xian Tianshun would have a low chance of winning. Second round, Qin Shaotian against Saberbeard. Xian Yuan Ba's resounding voice carried an extremely emotional tone. Clearly, he wanted to embellish the atmosphere of the battle. Indeed, there was a burst of cheers beneath the stage. Qin Shaotian, the former head chief of the Qin clan, was an elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Dao stage. Saberbeard was also an elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Dao stage. To these people beneath the stage, a battle at the genuine Supreme Dao stage was simply a battle of legends. In the past, they had never even heard of it. Now, they could witness it with their own eyes. Saberbeard let out an evil grin and stepped onto the Xian Yuan stage. As he stood there with an imposing manner, instantly, the color of the sky seemed to have dimmed. Suddenly, an aged laughter emerged from the crowd beneath the stage. Qin Shaotian also walked out from the crowd beneath the stage and walked up step by step. His stance did not resemble an elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Dao stage, but a mortal coming to the Xian Yuan stage to make a pilgrimage. Each step was sincere and serious. Saberbeard frowned slightly, for he did not know what game Qin Shaotian was playing. When Qin Shaotian finally walked onto the stage, Saberbeard let out a cold sneer. Qin Shaotian, what are you playing at the Xian Yuan stage for? A light smile hung from the corner of Qin Shaotian's mouth. He sized Saberbeard up and asked leisurely, Saberbeard, just how much do you owe Xian Tianwen for you to work so hard for him? Saberbeard said angrily, you don't need to ask. Enough nonsense. The struggle for the position of Heavenly Emperor is a competition of strength, not glib tongues. Qin Shaotian chuckled. You are wrong. The reason I'm on stage this time is to chat with you. Saberbeard could not but help to be stunned. He did not know what Qin Shaotian was up to. He raised his sword-like eyebrows. Qin Shaotian, put away your mischievous act. I will not buy it. Come, come, come. Let me see if you're an elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Dao stage, or if you're the real deal. Brothers, sorry. Today an old classmate of many years came to play with Old Bull. At night, I accompanied him for dinner. It delayed the update time. There is one more chapter. It will be updated in an hour. I will not go back on my words. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 867. Qin Shaotian still said neither hurriedly nor slowly, Saberbeard, I have lived for a few thousand years. Whether I have an undeserved reputation or not, I don't need you to appraise it. Of course, today I am not standing on the Xian Yuan stage to fight with you. When the Xian clan sent a punitive expedition to the Qin clan, I spent a few thousand years of my power. My divine soul controlled the genuine Supreme Dao weapon, and I have yet to recover from my severe injuries. In terms of today's battle, I will lose for sure if I fight with you. I still have this bit of self-knowledge. Therefore, I do not plan to fight with you for this battle. Qin Shaotian, just what do you mean? Saberbeard was going crazy. Haha, what I mean is very simple. In this battle, you win. The Qin clan will forfeit the second round. Forfeit? The spectators beneath the stage were going crazy. In Xian Tianshun's battle, he surrendered as soon as he made a move. Qin Shaotian was even more exaggerated, as he did not even move his hand and forfeited the competition. This was simply nonsense. Everyone was here to watch the competition, not to see such a dramatic change of heart. 2 pinnacle battles had failed one after the other. What was going on? Everyone said that Qin Shaodian has severe injuries. It seems the rumors are true. He did not even fight and admitted defeat directly. He does have a good temperament. Ah, the head chief of the Qin clan in the past was a man made of iron. How much ambition did he have? Unfortunately, although he still has his ambition, he does not have his prestige. What do you know? He has injuries on his body. How could he fight? Do you think it's a battle at our level? Once a genuine supreme Tao warrior makes a move, it's a life and death battle. To fight with an elite warrior at the same level without being in the best condition, it's courting death. Since you're injured, why come up? Are you wasting your spot? Don't be unconvinced when I say you don't know. Clearly, Qin Shaodian went up the stage to make up the number of people. If Qin Shaodian does not participate, Thousand Feeler Cloud Chasing Beast will be in the second tier in terms of strength. Thousand Feeler Cloud Chasing Beast will not have the chance to win against Saberbeard. It's better to put him in the third tier and win for sure. This way, forfeiting the second round is 1 win and 1 loss. This way, the Qin clan is betting on Qin Wushuang. Isn't that right? It seems the Qin clan is full of confidence in Qin Wushuang. I'm confident, but can I really defeat His Majesty the Celestial Emperor? I really doubt it. Heavenly Emperor Xian Tianwen's 1,000 years of accumulated prestige was deeply rooted in people's hearts. Although Qin Wushuang had been in the limelight for the past few years, he was still a rising star. He was still too young. A young man in his early 20s was simply a junior in the cultivation world. When confronting an elite warrior like Heavenly Emperor Xian Tianwen, who was a few thousand years older than them, people could not help but form a fixed mindset. He felt that they were not on the same level at all. The difference was too great. Qin Shaodian ignored the dumbfounded Saberbeard and smiled leisurely. After bowing to Xianyuan Ba with cupped fists, he walked down the stage leisurely like a wild crane, free and easy. This kind of unforeseen event caused all the spectators to be completely stunned. The Battle of the Celestial Emperors, the legendary battle of the Celestial Emperors that involved life and death, had actually successively surrendered. However, the changes in the first 2 rounds made the third round even more interesting. The result of 1 win and 1 loss indicated that there must be a winner in this third round. It seemed to have been arranged by fate that the strongest warriors of the Qin and Xian clan, the leaders, would be bestowed with more meaning at the peak of this competition. They would start their battle. Saberbeard was panting with anger as he felt he had no place to exert all his strength. He walked down the stage with resentment, yet he felt incredibly depressed. For this battle, Saberbeard had planned to exert all his strength to boost the morale of the Xian clan and sweep away their declining situation. Unexpectedly, it was such a result. Although it appeared they had won 1 round, it was completely different from defeating the opponent. However, this was completely different from winning by defeating the opponent. It was also different from Xian Tianwen admitting defeat after starting the battle. From the beginning, Qin Shaodian admitted that he was not fit to fight since his injuries had not healed completely. Giving up the competition openly would not hurt the morale of the Qin clan. Perhaps this was the strategy arranged by the Qin clan. They would take the first round and give up the second round to fight to the death in the third round. Saberbeard walked down angrily and said to Xian Tianwen helplessly, "Daoist Tianwen, it seems the Qin clan is betting on Qin Wushuang to fight the third round with you. Everything depends on you." Xian Tianwen revealed a somewhat malevolent smile. "Just watch me. I will use this chance to kill this little bastard and defeat the Qin clan." Saberbeard gave a light sigh. "You must be careful. Watch out for that kid's puppet technique. You must be on guard against his graceful spiritual bow." Xian Tianwen gave a light snort and nodded. He walked towards the Xianyuan stage in large strides with a majestic gait. When the Heavenly Emperor appeared, it immediately caused a burst of cheers from all directions. Everyone revealed an incredibly excited expression, for they knew that for this battle, they would not fail again. Regardless of the Xian clan or the Qin clan, they could not afford to lose. It was also impossible for them to admit defeat. At this moment, Xian Tianwen revealed his imposing manner as the Heavenly Emperor. on the Xian Yuan stage, his lofty figure and mighty body, combined with his heavenly emperor attire, gave people the powerful pressure of a superior figure. For the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang seemed to have no intention to fight with Xian Tianwen for this moment. Slowly and leisurely, he formed his own body. If one were to say that Xian Tianwen was as majestic as the surging sea, then Qin Wushuang was more like a little stream that gurgled slowly and freely. However, would the galloping sea be able to suppress the gurgling stream, for sure? On both sides of the Xian Yuan stage, two people already stood on the stage. One had a lofty figure like a towering mountain. The other one had a tall and straight figure like a bamboo. Qin Wushuang's eyelids twitched lightly, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. He said lightly, "Xian Tianwen, I have waited for this day for a dozen years. It seems that the heavens have treated you and me well. They did not let us miss this battle." Xian Tianwen gave a cold snort. "If the heavens want to miss it, I will not let them miss it. You still stinking of your mother's milk. How could you dare to lead the heavenly Emperor Qin clan? It seems that the Qin clan is getting worse with each generation. It's ridiculous for a little kid to be in charge. Xian Tianwen, I will not bicker with you for not showing respect for your age. Only, your Xian clan is tyrannical and tyrannical. You sit on the seat of the heavenly Emperor Gate, yet you do not think to advance and only know internal strife. Today, I am going to enforce justice for the heavens and kick your Xian clan out of the heavenly Emperor Mountain. It seems that you also hate the Qin clan to the bone. Since all grudges are placed on this battle, why don't we make a bigger bet between you and me? Humph, how do you want to play?" Xian Tianwen rolled his eyes and asked with vigilance. "In a life and death battle, without determining life and death, you are not allowed to step down. Do you dare?" Qin Wushuang lowered his voice and asked coldly. Instantly, Xian Tianwen felt apprehensive inwardly as he looked at Qin Wushuang with astonishment. Life and death battle? This kid wants to set a life and death battle with me? Without any reason, Xian Tianwen felt a trace of uneasiness. This kid is far less powerful than me, yet he wants to set a life and death battle with me. Could it be he truly has some tyrannical trump card? After all, Xian Tianwen's injury had left a shadow in his heart. If it were in the past, he would not care about gains and losses. His powerful confidence would not allow him to consider these problems. However, this time, a trace of hesitation had emerged. Even if it was only a moment of hesitation, it was a sign of not having enough confidence. However, he immediately thought, regardless of how monstrous this kid is, could he have the skill to win against me? If he truly has this skill, if he does not kill me now, there will be many opportunities in the future. Why would he deliberately force me to use a life and death battle on this Xian Yuan stage? By the way, he must be deliberately provoking me. He wants to make me feel suspicious and upset. He wants to make me unable to unleash my strongest state. That must be it. Xian Tianwen thought quickly and felt that Qin Wushuang was bluffing him. Since it was a bluff, he must not fall for it. Instead, he hit the snake with the stick and said with a cold sneer, "Life and death battle. All right, then it will be a life and death battle. On the Xian Yuan stage, we will not stop until one of us dies. Even if I surrender, you can continue to kill me. No one else can interfere, right? Even if that's the case, would you dare to take it?" Qin Wushuang asked coldly. Xian Tianwen roared with laughter. "I should be the one asking you this. Since you mentioned it, then I will fulfill your wish and send you to the Western Paradise on the Xian Yuan stage." In fact, deep inside Xian Tianwen's heart, he also had this idea. In a life and death battle, they would not stop until one of them died. He would use this opportunity to kill Qin Wushuang and seize his treasures and equipment. If he could inherit that ancient formation, then Xian Tianwen would have struck it rich. Indeed, Xian Tianwen had been thinking about this idea for a long time. Besides, he had no other choice. If he did not kill Qin Wushuang this time, in the future, following Qin Wushuang's continuous growth, Xian Tianwen would not have any more chances. Even if the Xian clan seized the Heavenly Emperor's seat, Most likely they would not be able to eat or sleep peacefully when facing a constantly growing Qin Wuxuang. Therefore, to kill Qin Wuxuang, now was the best opportunity. He could kill him justifiably, and he would not have to bear any infamy. You two, the Qin and Xian clan, are the trusted aides of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. I advise you to calm down. Once you sign the life and death contract, there is no room for regret. For this battle, one of you must die on the stage. This is not a child's play. At this moment, Xian Yuanba did not dare to neglect as he analyzed the stakes seriously. Xian Tianwen said with an indifferent smile, "Mr. Ba, since you are going to sign it, you will not regret it." You can also see that the Xian clan and the Qin clan cannot live under the same sky. Regardless of who wins or loses, they will not allow the other party to stay at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. When two tigers fight, one of them must be injured. Xian Yuanba gave a light sigh and nodded. Then, he looked at Qin Wuxuang. For a life and death battle, both parties must agree. If one party did not sign, it would not work. He rather hoped that Qin Wuxuang would not agree at this crucial moment. Qin Wuxuang revealed a light smile. Although he did not speak heroic words, his expression was strangely persistent. He would not repent for a life and death battle. Xian Yuanba revealed a bitter smile. I hope you will not regret it by that time. Come, prepare the life and death contract. As soon as the three words life and death contract were spoken, instantly the Xian Yuan stage became solemn and respectful. Everyone's breathing became rapid. Everyone knew what this life and death contract meant. A life and death contract meant life and death. Once signed, there would be no room for regret. In other words, for Xian Tianwen, an ambitious and ruthless elite warrior for thousands of years, and Qin Wuxuang, the exceptional genius that only appears once every 10,000 years. One of them would die on the stage after this battle. For such supreme figures, one of them was about to die. Naturally, the shock from the fall of such elite warriors made everyone's hearts surge endlessly. Even the people of the Qin clan, who always carried a smile, revealed a grave expression. They knew the weight of a life and death contract. On the contrary, Qin Wuxuang and Xian Tianwen, the two parties involved, were unexpectedly calm. Both of them signed their names and made a vow. Beneath the stage, Murong Su bit his lips lightly, yet he remained strong. Next to Murong Su, Bao Bao and the other divine beasts could not refrain from scratching their ears and scratching their cheeks. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 868. On the Xian Yuan stage, the life and death contract was signed. Boom! Boom! Almost at the same time, two bursts of majestic airflow rose to the sky. When these two bursts of airflow rose from the Xian Yuan stage, the imposing manner generated instantly shook the entire stage. Radiating from a Xian Yuan stage, this wave of vibration spread across a few hundred miles. The powerful spiritual qi fluctuations caused everyone at the scene to breathe rapidly. These two bursts of imposing manner seemed to be the end of the world as it made people panic. In the sky to the east, Xian Tianwen urged his body and spread open the Heavenly Emperor wings. His entire body had become 3 or 4 times bigger than usual. When he flapped the Heavenly Emperor wings, two bursts of strange lights transformed into strange and powerful colors as they rolled in the sky. Like waves of light, they were incredibly dazzling. Heavenly Emperor wings. Once again, the people watching the battle below the stage breathed rapidly. Indescribable admiration was revealed from their eyes. Indeed, the legendary Heavenly Emperor wings lived up to its reputation. As soon as this power was unleashed, it made the sun and moon appear dim. The entire sky changed color. Strange lights flashed from Xian Tianwen's eyes. Inside his pupils, different strange runes had transformed. As they kept changing, they appeared even more strange and indescribable. No wonder he was the honorable heavenly emperor. As soon as he made a move, he urged his temperament to the extreme. He was about to welcome the fourth calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. Even among the totem clan, his strength was enough to rank in the top 5. Could Qin Wushuang truly fight against Heavenly Emperor Xian Tianwen? At this moment, even those people who were initially optimistic about Qin Wushuang could not help but lose some of their optimism. At this moment, on the western horizon, a burst of star-like light rose slowly. Initially, it was a burst of glimmering light. When this glimmering light passed through the blue dome of heaven, as if it was burning, it left a trail of beautiful purple across the sky. As if deliberately competing with the heavenly emperor, the purple cloud yin yang wings fluttered against the wind and did not yield to the heavenly emperor wings. As the purple wings flapped, bursts of purple ripples overflowed. It formed bursts of shock waves and formed a confrontation with the lights of the heavenly emperor wings. Boom! When bursts of lights collided, it was extremely dazzling. The entire sky was multicolored as all kinds of strange lights shot in all directions. However, behind this kind of beauty, there was a boundless killing intent. TSK. Rumor has it that Qin Wushuang has a pair of wings on his back. These two were really evenly matched. Kana is indeed a fated duel. The duel between the Heavenly Emperor's wings and the purple cloud yin-yang wings was obviously a highlight for this battle. Everyone's interest was instantly raised to the extreme. Although Qin Wushuang was only at the 7th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage, when he activated his aura behind the purple light, there was a seemingly illusory, 5-colored divine light. It allowed his aura to not lose to Xian Tianwen at the 3rd calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. When Xian Tianwen saw Qin Wushuang's imposing manner, he also drew a breath of cold air. Indeed, this little bastard has improved his strength quickly. It seems that although he has not entered the genuine supreme Tao stage, his divine power is not weaker than mine. If I don't use this chance to kill him today, there will be endless troubles in the future. When he thought here, how could Xian Tianwen hesitate? He flapped his wings, and along with the change of speed, he waved the slaughtering sword from his hand. The divine power of the 3rd calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage waved out tens and thousands of sword lights. From east to west, he slashed over. Qin Wushuang let out a roaring laugh. Good. He also held a sword in his hand, the Heavenly Emperor's sword. This Heavenly Emperor's sword was a righteous sword. It did not have any fancy mysteries. However, when it was used, its power was extraordinary. Qin Wushuang grabbed the Heavenly Emperor's sword and also slashed out with it. Like 2 long dragons bearing their fangs and brandishing their claws, they met each other in a narrow path in the sky. Neither would yield. Boom! The sword energies collided with each other, creating countless ripples that shot out in circles. The entire sky was suppressed by the boundless sword energies. Sword chi shot out in all directions, shooting down countless birds that were flying high up in the sky. In terms of shrewdness, Xian Tianwen was a few thousand years old supreme Tao elite warrior. Regardless of combat experience or the degree of fusion with the genuine supreme Tao weapon, he surpassed Qin Wushuang. However, Qin Wushuang's advantage lay in the fact that the grade of the Heavenly Emperor sword was much more powerful than the genuine Divine 6 weapons. Only a divine weapon that once accompanied a genuine supreme Tao elite warrior to pass the 9th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage was qualified to be called a genuine supreme Tao weapon. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Wushuang was still slightly lacking in terms of the supreme Tao stage and that the fusion time was not as long as Xian Tianwen, it would be enough to suppress Xian Tianwen with this genuine supreme Tao 9th calamity weapon. This was not an exaggeration. After all, the 9th calamity divine weapon was something all paramount totem elite warriors yearned for even in their dreams. The weapon of a paramount totem elite warrior did not have the qualifications to pass the 9th calamity. Once he passed the ninth calamity, he would be at the soaring Galaxia stage. Previously, Xi and Tianwen had seen Qin Wushuang perform the Heavenly Emperor's sword. He also revealed some astonishment from his eyes as he pondered. This kid's weapon is truly exceptional. I wonder what grade it is. If my genuine Divine Six weapons had not merged with me for thousands of years, plus my own stage suppressing him, it would not have been able to resist his sword. Indeed, this kid has great luck. He even has such divine weapons. If I can take him down and seize those supreme equipment, the Heavenly Emperor clan will be even more powerful. In the future, even the Totem clan will not be able to suppress my Xian clan. With lofty ambitions, Xian Tianwen gave a long whistle and unleashed the power of the slaughtering sword continuously. He started a fight with Qin Wushuang in the middle of the sky. Qin Wushuang was extremely cooperative as he started to tangle with Xian Tianwen. Qin Xiaodian could not refrain from frowning slightly. Inwardly, he thought, is head chief Wushuang overconfident? It's not reasonable to fight with Xian Tianwen using sword techniques. Isn't this falling right into his trap? Among Xian Tianwen's sword techniques, there was a set called the 9 killing sword technique. The sword technique was unpredictable. When performed, 1 would turn into 9, and 9 would turn into 1. Each move would take one's life. As soon as he performed this 9 killing sword technique, the slaughtering sword immediately transformed into a devil from hell. Carrying bitter, murderous intentions, bursts of sword techniques slashed at him like lightning. Like flying birds, dragons, snakes, lightning, and torrential rain, this 9 killing sword technique had endless changes. Different forms of murderous intentions greeted Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang was incredibly calm. He spun the purple cloud yin-yang wings at a high speed and waved the Heavenly Emperor's sword. In fact, he also performed a set of exquisite sword techniques. When he performed this set of sword techniques, even Xin Yuan Ba was greatly astonished. It was because Qin Wushuang's set of sword techniques could not be called a sword technique. If the 9 killing sword technique had a set of rules, then Qin Wushuang's set of sword techniques had no rules at all. It was messy and disorderly, as if a guy who did not know how to use the sword was playing with sword techniques. However, it was brilliant in that although this set of sword techniques did not have any rules, each attack could often break Xian Tianwen's killer moves. No more and no less. It seemed to have been prepared to break Xian Tianwen's murderous move. It was tailor-made. Grand Elder, the head chief's set of sword techniques is so strange. Have you seen it before? Qin Chongyang could not refrain from asking. He still harbored doubts about such fighting style. Qin Xiaodian smiled bitterly and said, Chongyang, the head chief, this young man, frankly speaking, has already reached a stage where even I can't understand him. For today's round, even without signing the life and death contract, if Xian Tianwen cannot win against him, he will never have the chance to win against him. Qin Chongyang and Qin Yunran exchanged a glance and felt apprehensive inwardly. The Grand Elder's evaluation made them feel uneasy and did not have much confidence. Grand Elder, can the head chief win against Xian Tianwen? Ji Song asked casually. He was rather straightforward and did not know how to beat around the bush. Qin Xiaodian only smiled and did not answer. He turned to ask Thousand Feeler Cloud Chasing Beast, Friend Chasing Cloud, what do you think? Thousand Feeler Cloud Chasing Beast shrugged and said with an ambiguous tone, at least from now on, the odds are 50-50. Neither of them can do anything to the other. However, clearly these two have many trump cards they have not used. We must see how their trump cards clash to see some clues. It was the absolute truth. Now, both parties were still probing each other and had not used their best moves. Regardless of one's eyesight, they could not make an accurate prediction. It was because from the current point of view, these two were on par with each other. The only difference was that Xian Tianwen's attacks were rather swift and violent. For now, Qin Wushuang was mostly on the defense. Saberbeard's side was rather calm. It was because, for now, he could not see through anything. Although Xian Tianwen had already asked a few times nervously, Saberbeard's eyes were fixed on Saberbeard's face. Only, Saberbeard's gaze moved from Qin Wushuang's body. Occasionally, a burst of strange lights flashed in his eyes. Then, he shot a glance at Xianyuan Ba with an extremely strange expression. No one knew what he was thinking. Xian Tianwen was extremely annoyed. His set of 9th killing sword technique was his proudest work, yet it was restrained by Qin Wushuang's technique that lacked any technique. He could not unleash his endless murderous intentions. Desperation leads to change. Xian Tianwen waved the slaughtering sword and pulled the heavenly oppressed spear back to his hand. At the same time, he shook the pair of wings on his back again. In a burst of light, it transformed into 4 forked arms. Xian Tianwen straightened his neck, and a head grew next to his neck. When he straightened his neck to the right, another head popped out. 3 heads and 6 arms. Xian Tianwen let out an eerie laugh. Holding the genuine divine 6 weapons with his 6 arms, he manipulated all of them in his hands. Like a great devil god, he revealed a malevolent expression. Surrounding his body, lights of different colors burst forth. Surrounding the lights, different types of runes emerged and appeared incredibly terrifying. For such an unforeseen event, even Xian Tianwen was somewhat surprised. However, he immediately regained his calm. With a roaring laugh, he threw the Heavenly Emperor's sword into the sky. Next, he threw out the Earth Emperor's spear. With one on the left and one on the right, he scattered them to protect his body. He grabbed with his hand and pulled out a yin and yang battle blade. Yin-yang nature blade, a blade that could break the yin and yang. This yin-yang nature blade was more powerful than the Heavenly Emperor's sword and the Earth Emperor's spear. Qin Wushuang held the blade with his right hand and used his divine soul to control the Heavenly Emperor's sword and the Earth Emperor's spear. He defended the door and started to fight with Xian Tianwen's 3 heads and 6 arms. Despite Xian Tianwen having 3 heads and 6 arms, he could not break Qin Wushuang's door. Qin Wushuang activated the 3 genuine supreme, Tao, 9th calamity weapons together, and the 5-color divine lights kept surging from his back. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Xian Tianwen, don't think that you can play any big tricks with 3 heads and 6 arms. Take my blade." As he urged the blade light, it divided the yin and yang. Like the light of the sun and the moon, it swept over after splitting into 2. No wonder this yin-yang nature blade had the name of creation. Currently, Qin Wushuang had mastered the supreme Tao essence of the water and fire attributes. Naturally, this yin-yang nature blade was extremely compatible with him. Today, I went to the building material market to buy the floor and will only return in the afternoon. Therefore, the update is late. However, regardless of how late it is, regardless of how tired I am, even if I fight until late at night, I will not go back on my word. I must get it out no matter what. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 869. Indeed, this yin-yang nature blade was not a bluff. Indeed, the blade momentum was profound and possessed the imposing manner to break yin and yang. On the other side of the blade light, golden lights shone like the scorching sun in the sky. On the other side of the blade light, silver splendor sparkled. The moonlight was like water and appeared extremely cold. The most wonderful part was that this yin-yang nature blade seemed to be extremely compatible with the purple cloud yin-yang wings. Borrowing the imposing manner of the purple cloud yin-yang wings, the power of this blade was 30% stronger than the original. Before this blade swept before Xian Tianwen did not dare to neglect it. He rolled his body in the air and evaded the power of this blade. At the same time, he threw the 8 defense golden light shield above Qin Wushuang's head. Immediately, a giant umbrella-like golden light shield opened up. Like a waterfall, light curtains flew down from all directions and covered the sky above the Xianyuan stage. Qin Wushuang knew the power of this 8 defense golden light shield. When he saw Xian Tianwen bring out this 8 defense golden light shield, he stayed alert. He threw out the Yin-Yang Nature Blade and used his strongest divine power to blast out a burst of meteoric light. Immediately, the Yin-Yang Nature Blade transformed into a ball of Yin and Yang divine light to shoot at the 8 defense golden light shield. Boom! Immediately, the giant light shield dispersed when the Yin-Yang Nature Blade collided with it. As if the ball of light exploded, the light overflowed in all directions and illuminated the entire blue dome of heaven. Before he could unleash the power of the 8 defense golden light screen, Qin Wushuang had torn it apart with the blade light of the Yin-Yang Nature Blade. This time, the power of a 9th Calamity Genuine Supreme Dao weapon was finally revealed. Xian Tianwen was shocked. He rarely used the 8 defense golden light shield. Once he did, it was almost invincible. Even if there were elite warriors that could resist the 8 defense golden light shield, they would rely on defensive equipment to resist the binding of that meteoric light. They would not be controlled by the power whirlpool of the 8 defense golden light shield. Ever since Xian Tianwen stepped onto the path of martial arts, it was his first time encountering a situation where his attack was broken directly. Inwardly, he could not refrain from feeling apprehensive as he swore angrily. Monster! Without thinking, he pulled the god-killing bow. Following this burst of meteoric light, countless arrows shot towards Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang laughed heartily. When the flowing light of the Yin-Yang Nature Saber reached its limit, the flowing light suddenly trembled and fell down like a curtain. A light curtain like a black hole immediately enveloped Qin Wushuang's body. When the arrows collided with the surface of the light barrier, it was as if they had entered an infinitely high-temperature pill furnace and were immediately refined into dregs. Xian Tianwen was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Wasn't this kid's defense power somewhat monstrous? The god-slaying bow and the 8 defenses golden light screen had always been a perfect match. The 8 defenses golden light screen enveloped his opponent, and the god-slaying bow shot him to death. The god-slaying bow was extremely sinister. Once it hit its target, it would be like a maggot on a rotten bone. It would bite at the divine soul and destroy both the divine soul and the physical body. Its power was extremely shocking. However, the 8 defenses golden light screen was unable to lock down Qin Wushuang on the first try. Naturally, the power of the God-Slayer bow was greatly reduced. Between the attack and defense of Qin Wushuang's Yin-Yang Nature Saber, the power had immediately suppressed the limelight of the genuine Divine 6 weapons. When the audience saw such a peak battle, immediately there was a burst of cheers. They were almost going crazy. This was truly too exciting. Regardless of who was attacking and who was defending, the level of excitement of this battle had far surpassed their imagination. Even Xin Yuanba of the Totem Clan felt anxious when he saw a battle at this level. Inwardly, he pondered how much chance he would have if he were to encounter such an opponent. One must say that even for Xin Yuanba, he did not have the confidence to win when encountering these two opponents. He might even lose. Too powerful. Being the Heavenly Emperor, Xian Tianwen had always been domineering. However, before the Xin Yuan clan, he was still well-behaved. Like a grandson, he would not dare to act presumptuously. However, for powerhouses outside the Totem clan, Xian Tianwen had never submitted to anyone. But today, he finally met a bone that he couldn't chew off. This young man of the Qin clan was able to make Xian Tianwen, who had been famous for a few thousand years, suffer such humiliation. This Qin Wushuang seemed to be only a little over 30 years old. In the martial arts world, such age was the age when one had just stepped onto the road. Many martial artists were still enjoying being a hedonistic son. Qin Wushuang was already on par with Xian Tianwen, the Heavenly Emperor. What else could they say? There was only one word: monstrous. Truly monstrous. Even the Totem clan was impressed, not to mention others. Of course, everyone knew that Qin Wushuang was able to deal with Xian Tianwen's attack with such ease because of the weapon he used. Almost everyone knew about the reputation of the genuine Divine Six weapons. The genuine Divine Six weapons were almost Xian Tianwen's signature and the strongest trump card of the Xian clan in the past. To put it bluntly, if Xian Tianwen did not have the genuine Divine Six weapons, initially it would have been impossible for him to seize the Heavenly Emperor's seat from the Qin clan. The genuine Divine Six weapons were Xian Tianwen's trump card. Now, this trump card was suppressed by Qin Wushuang, the young disciple of the Qin clan. Regardless, on the level of weapons, Xian Tianwen's previous advantage was completely gone. On the contrary, the aspect of weapons had become Xian Tianwen's disadvantage. This was something no one could have imagined before. Who would have guessed that Xian Tianwen would fall behind in terms of weapons during a showdown at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain? It's widely rumored that Qin Wushuang, the head chief of the Qin clan, inherited the immemorial formation. It seems it's true. It seems that this matter is absolutely true. Oh, how do you know? Don't you know? The weapon used by Qin Wushuang has clearly suppressed the genuine Divine Six weapons. When did the Qin clan have such powerful weapons? Wasn't it obtained from the ancient array? If the Qin clan had such powerful weapons, they would not have lost to the Xian clan 1,000 years ago. That's right. When the Qin clan lost in the past, they lost to the genuine Divine Six weapons. Or else, the foundation of the Xian clan would be inferior to the Qin and Yun clan in other aspects. Various guesses were heard from beneath the stage. However, to the current situation, it would not help at all. Although Xian Tianwen could not win after a long battle, he was able to keep his composure. He thought inwardly, this Qin Wushuang has such a heaven-defying weapon. To break his defense, I am afraid it would be difficult to gain the upper hand with weapons. It seems I must summon the sealed puppets. Even if the sealed puppets are sacrificed, as long as they entangle that Qin Wushuang for an instant, I can use this opportunity to shoot him to death. Thinking here, Xian Tianwen grabbed with one of his arms and opened his palm. He threw it into the air, and a lightning-like light shot out from the seal. Two majestic, ferocious beasts jumped out from the smoke. They spat out clouds and fog. Their appearance was astonishing and terrifying. Ninth Calamity. It was the Ninth Calamity transformation, Supreme Dao stage. Initially, Saberbeard got this sealed beast soul. It was different than the twin sealed beast soul used by Xian Tianwen. It was a beast soul at the Ninth Calamity transformation, Supreme Dao stage. In fact, Xian Tianwen felt rather regretful for making a mistake in predicting the enemy. Initially, he had underestimated the Qin clan's candidate and did not take into account the accident of Thousand Feeler Cloud chasing beast. He should have given this more powerful sealed beast soul to Xian Tianwen. This way, he would at least have the power to fight with Thousand Feeler Cloud chasing beast. He might even have the hope to win. The combined power of these two twin ferocious beasts would definitely surpass the sum of 1 + 1. Perhaps they could unleash 4 or 5 times the power. With such power, if they worked together with Xian Tianwen, they might have the power to fight with Thousand Feeler Cloud chasing beast. However, it was too late to say anything now. Xian Tianwen decided that even if he had to sacrifice these two beast souls, he must knock down Qin Wushuang. The benefits he would gain from knocking down Qin Wushuang would definitely surpass the value of these two twin beast souls. Thinking here, Xian Tianwen chanted the spell and started to brainwash these two beast souls. At the Heavenly Fire southern border, Xian Tianwen learned 2 unique skills of the beast clans. One of them was this beast controlling technique. He could control the sealed beast souls to fight at will. He could make these beast souls live and die at will. In fact, this beast controlling technique was a puppet technique in disguise. Only, its puppets were beast soul puppets. They were different than Qin Wushuang's golem puppets. However, in essence, they were the same thing. The two ferocious beasts gave a mad roar. From left and right, they attacked Qin Wushuang fiercely. Xian Tianwen let out an evil grin and freed his 2 palms to shoot out 2 bursts of divine lights with strange beast talisman scripts. When it shot onto the bodies of the two ferocious beasts, instantly, lights erupted from the entire body of the two beasts. A burst of extremely ancient, desolate beast presence filled the entire Xianyuan stage. Roar! Roar! With two world-shaking roars, the two ferocious beasts were already baring their fangs and brandishing their claws to kill Qin Wushuang. The speed at which they shattered the sky left behind two clear space ripples. It was incredibly terrifying. Qin Wushuang let out a strange laugh. A knowing smile of, "You finally used your trump card," spilled out from the corner of his mouth. This smile was like an indestructible golden needle. It pierced Xian Tianwen's originally firm mind ruthlessly. What is this kid laughing at? A trace of doubt flashed across Xian Tianwen's mind. Distracting thoughts, another strand of distracting thoughts. Xian Tianwen was a great elite warrior, a great elite warrior. How could he not know that this distracting thought was a crack in his mind? To put in a small way, it was only a thought. To put in a big way, it was most likely a heart devil that would affect his mind. The initially confident Xian Tianwen never had such a shadow in his heart. Yet now, when he was signing the life and death contract, a trace of haze flashed across his mind. This time, it had appeared again. The two continuous haze had caused a genuine crack to appear in Xian Tianwen's spiritual perception. It was a genuine heart devil. This heart devil had been planted when he was injured. Unless he defeated Qin Wushuang and killed him, this heart devil would only be extinguished. Or else, it would become an eternal worry. Qin Wushuang's leisurely laughter emerged. Xian Tianwen, is this desolate beast a fortuitous opportunity you acquired at the southern border? Nice, nice. If you don't have any new trump cards, how could you be qualified to be my opponent? This time, I will let you witness my skills. Qin Wushuang's laughter was like thunder as it rolled across the sky continuously. Qin Wushuang's figure kept swaying. Under the contrast of the five-color divine lights, he kept splitting into puppets with the same appearance as Qin Wushuang. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. There were a total of 9. Not one of these 9 puppets was an illusion. They were all genuine Supreme Tao puppets with flesh and blood. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 870. With 9 golem puppets and 1 original body, a total of 10 of them scattered into a half-fan shape in the sky. Like a graceful rainbow, they set off the 5-colored divine lights and appeared insufferably majestic. Haha, Xian Tianwen, you can only control 2 desolate beasts. Do you have any more? Qin Wushuang used a teasing tone and said jokingly. Xian Tianwen fixed his gaze and could not help but laugh. Qin Wushuang, don't be so arrogant. For these puppets, you cannot win with numbers. Your numbers are great, but it's not important. It's fine to confuse people's eyes and ears. If you want to rely on the sea of people, your useless puppets are far from enough. Xian Tianwen's eyes were vicious. With one look, he knew that Qin Wushuang's puppets were not top-notch in terms of individual strength. They would definitely not surpass the 3rd calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage. Such Supreme Tao puppets could not be said to be weak. However, in a battle between genuine Supreme Tao elite warriors, clearly they were not qualified. At least, Xian Tianwen did not put them in his eyes. He felt that with his strength, he could destroy all these puppets in 5 moves. A trace of ridicule was revealed from the corner of Qin Wushuang's mouth. Of course, he would not tell the other party the use of his puppets. He laughed inwardly and said, Xian Tianwen, when you taste the power of the 9 palace return 1 sword formation, you will know how it feels. The 9 golem puppets completely obeyed the control of Qin Wushuang's divine soul. The 9 long swords danced in a semicircular arc. The sword lights had already congealed into a ball and shot at Xian Tianwen with a loud rumble. Suddenly, the 9 figures dispersed and formed a circle. When the formation was activated, wind and thunder burst forth. Like sword fairies, the figures of the 9 golem puppets cooperated with each other skillfully. 9 Palace return 1 sword formation. It absorbed the essence of the 9 Palace formation. It was a technique that used the changes of body movements to create dislocation attacks. It also overlapped the individual strength to form different combinations of powerful attacks. Its characteristics lay in the formation of the 9 Palace, the changes of body movements, and the sense of position. The condensed attack of Unity was able to condense the power of 9 people together. Through the transformation of the array, it could form a powerful attack that far exceeded the power of 9 people. To put it bluntly, Qin Wushuang had spent a lot of time and effort to practice this spirit array to this point. Although he couldn't increase its power by 81 times, he could still increase its power by 66 to 36 times. The most crucial thing was that the array was a combination of attack and defense. Once the array was successfully set up, the entire array would be in a state of chaos. If one couldn't find the core of the array, one wouldn't be able to break the array at all. Other than parrying, there was no other way. Even if one was a real Supreme Dao expert, in front of the array that was 36 times stronger, how much could one do? The Supreme Dao realm of a genuine Supreme Dao elite warrior. His Supreme Dao realm might be dozens of times higher than a coagulate Supreme Dao warrior. However, there were 9 people in this formation to begin with. Each person could unleash 36 times the power. If it was increased by 9 times, it would be more than 300 times the power. If one wanted to destroy this array with brute force, it would be impossible unless one was a paramount elite warrior of the genuine Supreme Dao stage. If these Supreme Dao puppets could all advance to the 6th calamity of the transformation Supreme Dao stage, most likely even those at the peak of the genuine Supreme Dao stage could not destroy it with brute force. Once all genuine Supreme Dao elite warriors set up the array, they could instantly kill all elite warriors of the Tianxian land. No one below the heavenly Supreme Dao stage will be a match for them. Unfortunately, this array had not been unleashed to the highest stage of 99 to 81 times. After all, the person who set up the array did not reach that monstrous stage. Only it was enough to entangle Xi and Tianwen. When the golem puppets entangled Xi and Tianwen, Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. He put away the Heavenly Emperor's sword and the Earth Emperor's spear and did not fight with those 2 vicious beasts. He grabbed with both hands and pulled out the graceful spiritual bow. When this divine bow that had been suppressed for more than a dozen years appeared again, it carried a burst of powerful anger and resentment. It was as if it felt incredibly oppressed by Qin Wushuang hiding it for such a long time and urgently needed to erupt. The graceful spiritual bow stretched out and shone with golden lights. When Qin Wushuang touched the graceful spiritual bow, a burst of incomparably familiar feeling immediately emerged from his heart. As if they were lovers from the past, the familiar feeling made Qin Wushuang feel incredibly comfortable. Although Qin Wushuang was no longer the same as before, the potential of the graceful spiritual bow kept being dug out. Now, the graceful spiritual bow was no longer the same as when it had just made its debut. When Saberbeard saw this scene from beneath the stage, his heart tightened. Instantly, his gaze became complicated as he drew a breath of cold air. Xi and Tianxian could not judge the current situation. Therefore, he always used Saberbeard's expression as a reference. The change in Saberbeard's expression was his barometer. When he saw Saberbeard frowning with a complicated gaze, Xi and Tianxian could not help but tremble. "Sir Saberbeard, how is it?" For a moment, Saberbeard was speechless. His expression was incredibly solemn, as if he was thinking about something. Under Xi and Tianxian's repeated questioning, Saberbeard gave a long sigh. The puppet beast souls are going to suffer. This Qin Wushuang is truly monstrous, truly monstrous. He controlled 9 Supreme Dao puppets at once. Additionally, he could control such a powerful sword formation to trap Xi and Tianwen. For your information, The highest level of individual strength of these puppets was not above the third calamity of the transformation supreme Tao stage. With such shrimp soldiers and crab generals, they were able to stall Xian Tianwen, the heavenly emperor of this generation. One could imagine their power. When Qin Shaotian saw this, he also revealed a joyful smile. Good, good. Now I finally know where head chief Wushuang's confidence comes from. Ha ha, good kid, good kid. It seems my Qin clan will finally see the clear sky through the clouds and mist. Grand Elder, this way, head chief Wushuang is going to win? Qin Chongyang could not but help to reveal a trace of expectation on his serious face. He may not win, but I can guarantee that the head sect leader will not lose. Won't lose, won't he win? For this life and death contract, without one of them dying, they are not allowed to step down. Jisong chuckled. Upon hearing the good news from the head chief, these people felt relaxed. His heart, which had been stretched taut, immediately relaxed. Ha ha, it's true that the life and death contract is like that. However, you must consider whether some people truly wish for Xian Tianwen to die and are willing for the Xian clan to be annihilated. For our heavenly emperor 8 gates, the Qin clan, Yun clan, and Xian clan have always stood in a tripartite balance of power. For tens and thousands of years, we always had the chance to annihilate our opponents, but we never succeeded. Why? Why? Jisong felt baffled. Qin Chongyang nodded slowly. I understand. The Totem clan is not willing to break apart the tripartite balance of power structure. If they are to fight to the death, the paramount Totem elite warriors will surely come and mediate, right? Qin Shaotian chuckled. Let's see. Perhaps something unexpected will happen this time. You all know that the head chief has always excelled at creating surprises, right? Everyone roared with laughter. Bao Bao also laughed. My boss will certainly annihilate Xian Tianwen, I am certain. Yes, for the paramount Totem elite warriors, even if my boss gets angry, he will not give him face. Humph humph. Lone also said with a snort. On the other hand, Morong Su berated lightly. You two, don't talk nonsense. You must not look down on the Totem elite warriors, understand? Before Qin Wushuang, Bao Bao and Lone still dared to act presumptuously and joke around. However, before this future sister-in-law, they were yes men. When they heard the berating, they giggled foolishly, scratched their heads, and stopped speaking nonsense. With the help of the graceful spiritual Bao, the shooting sun arrows were already shot out. Those two ferocious beasts were controlled by Xian Tianwen's divine soul. When they saw the shooting sun arrows shooting over with such power, their souls were scared away. One on the left and one on the right, they transformed into two bursts of lights and fled to the sky. The imposing manner of these shooting sun arrows was not something their transformation supreme Tao beast souls could resist. Only by using body movements to evade would they be able to escape. However, once the graceful spiritual Bao was activated and the shooting sun arrows were shot out, how could any accident happen? One after another, the shooting sun arrows split into two paths and chased to the two sides of the sky with a loud rumble. Boom! Like a long rainbow piercing the sun, the shooting sun arrows glided across a perfect arc. The golden lights hit the two ferocious beasts with the momentum of a meteor chasing after the moon. Boom! Boom! Accompanied by the demonic power of the graceful spiritual Bao, the powerful supreme Tao power produced tremendous destructive power. It could even flatten the entire mountain peak, not to mention beast souls with flesh and blood bodies. In the midst of the explosion, there was a scene of badly mutilated flesh. The two beast cores escaped and flew to the sky in a panic. They were in a hurry to escape. Qin Wushuang grabbed the yin-yang nature blade and urged the purple cloud yin-yang wings to welcome the two beast cores. When he slashed down, a tornado-like blade momentum instantly wrapped around the beast cores. Qin Wushuang already shot out a divine venomous puppet. In terms of beast language, Qin Wushuang's foundation was no less than Xian Tianwen's. He might even be better. In the blink of an eye, he had controlled these two beast cores. Unfortunately, Xi Tianwen's divine soul was inside this beast core. Qin Wushuang's divine venomous technique could not enter. However, since this beast core had already fallen into his control, he was not worried that the divine soul power could not drive it out. The most direct method would be to kill Xi Tianwen. Naturally, his divine soul would be destroyed. When the sealed beast soul was destroyed, Xi Tianwen immediately lost his left and right arms. Qin Wushuang turned around and roared with laughter. Xi Tianwen, you only have these two puppets? Isn't it too little? Xi Tianwen felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow to his chest. It was too unfair. He had acquired these fortuitous opportunities with great difficulty and hoped to unleash his divine power in this pageant. Unexpectedly, he had been killed by the other party so easily. The fortuitous opportunities he was most proud of could not withstand a single blow from Qin Wushuang's equipment. In terms of weapons, he was suppressed. In terms of sword skills, he was suppressed. In terms of puppets, he was still suppressed. In each step, he was suppressed by Qin Wushuang. Was it still like a heavenly emperor fighting against a young kid? Xi Tianwen felt sorrowful. The natural law was unfair. The natural law was unfair. Why did Qin Wushuang take all the benefits? With a mad roar, Xi Tianwen already planned to cut off all means of retreat and fight to his death. His last trump card was the 100-change Celestial Beast Soul technique. If this trump card still could not win against Qin Wushuang, then he would have no other way. Only, under such circumstances, if he had no other way, did it mean he would have to wait for the death sentence? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 871. It was the last trump card of the 100 transformation beast technique. Below the stage, Saberbeard watched the changes on the stage without blinking. He also knew that this was Xi Tianwen's last chance. If this secret beast technique still could not defeat Qin Wushuang, then the Xian clan would not have another chance in the Heavenly Emperor competition. Being out was already the lightest result. Under the background of the life and death contract, the price of being out would be accompanied by Xi Tianwen's death. Honestly, Saberbeard did not care about Xi Tianwen's life or death. However, what he wanted was important. He had schemed for a few thousand years and waited for the arrival of this grand occasion. If the Xian clan failed, his plan would go bankrupt. Even if he did not go bankrupt, he would not have much room to perform. His plan must be built on the Xian clan seizing the Heavenly Emperor's seat. However, in the current situation, could Xi Tianwen win? Saberbeard was not at all optimistic. If he were to perform the 100 transformation celestial beast technique from the beginning, it would have achieved the effect of a surprise attack. However, now Qin Wushuang's defense was completely useless. The 9 Palace Return one sword formation had trapped Xi Tianwen. Even if he had tens and thousands of divine skills, most likely it would be useless. Although the attack power of this 9 Palace Return one sword formation was monstrous, its defense power was also astonishing. Xi Tianwen was rather exceptional. While the 100 transformation beast technique changed, he had already transformed into 3 or 4 different forms. They were either mighty, nimble, gigantic, or subtle. But to the golem puppets, these changes were nothing more than fleeting clouds. They only dealt with the changes by remaining unchanged. They sorted out the sword formation in an orderly manner. They were not in a hurry, nor were they in a rush, nor were they conservative. Before such strict formation that did not lack changes, Xi Tianwen was on the verge of crying. He realized that like a clown, he was bumping around above the Xian Yuan stage. He could not even touch Qin Wushuang's shadow. For such battle, was there a need to consider the result? A surge of despair surged from the bottom of Xi Tianwen's heart. Clearly, it was useless to lament the unfairness of the heavens. Xi Tianwen knew that for this battle, he had no chance of winning. The most fatal part was that with the life and death contract hanging high, even if he wanted to admit defeat, he would not have the chance. A life and death pact had to be decided between life and death. Unless you ran away shamelessly, you might be able to escape for a while. But if you ran away during the life and death duel at the Xian Yuan stage, his reputation would be ruined, and the foundation of the Xian family would come to an end. It was also a big question whether the Xian Yuan family would hunt him down. Qin Wushuang, what kind of skill are you hiding? The anger that came from the bottom of Xian Tianwen's heart exploded as he roared madly. Now, he had to lure Qin Wushuang out. Otherwise, if he were to hide behind the puppets, he would not be able to break the formation, and he would not stand a chance at victory. Only, now Qin Wushuang was as steady as Mount Tai. How could he play the so-called elite warrior demeanor of a head-on confrontation with Xian Tianwen? He laughed leisurely. Xian Tianwen, I gave you a chance to fight head-on a moment ago. Since you are not skilled enough, who can you blame? Now with my puppet activating it, you cannot even break a mere sword formation. What qualifications do you have to challenge me? Today, this Xian Yuan stage will be the place of your death. In the beginning, Qin Wushuang's tone was somewhat mocking. In the end, it was incredibly serious and did not carry a trace of human emotion. It was as if he was the judge of life and death. Xian Tianwen kept roaring angrily and said with a cold sneer, "You want to kill me? Do you have the skill?" When Xian Tianwen's brute force burst out, he knew that he had no hope of winning today. However, he still would not believe that this Qin Wushuang could kill him. What about the graceful spiritual bow? Since he had suffered once, Xian Tianwen would not suffer a second time. With a flash, he transformed into a giant centipede with 100 feet. Waving his tentacles, his entire body congealed into a ball and rolled into a whirlpool shape. He rolled in the sky and tried to dash past these 9 great puppets to attack Qin Wushuang directly. Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. Xian Tianwen, even if you turn into a maggot, don't think about dashing over. The divine skill of the Beast Clan is indeed exceptional. However, it's a waste to use it on you. Xian Tianwen was mad with anger. Just when he was charging at the formation with all his power, Qin Wushuang pulled the graceful spiritual bow again and shouted, "Xian Tianwen, let me send you off." One after another, 9 shooting sun arrows formed into the imposing manner of the 9 shooting sun arrows. It shot Qin Wushuang with all his power. When the imposing manner of the 9 shooting sun arrows formed a whirlpool like a black hole in the middle, it went to greet Xian Tianwen. Knowing the power, Xian Tianwen transformed again and transformed into a burst of green smoke. He transformed into a white crane and went with the wind at a fast speed like lightning. He shuttled between the clouds and disappeared. Escape. Xian Tianwen was using the escape tactic. This time, the people watching the battle beneath the stage were also stunned. Even Qin Wushuang did not expect that Xian Tianwen would escape. 10,000 miles high in the sky. After all, there was a limit to the momentum of the shooting sun arrows. Xian Tianwen had escaped from the attack circle in the first move. Qin Wushuang groaned at his bad luck. He flapped the purple cloud in yang wings, and the 9 golem puppets followed behind him. They rode their swords and shot into the sky. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Xian Tianwen, a moment ago who was the one that asked me to come out for a hand-to-hand fight? Now that you have escaped, do you think you can avoid death? Let me tell you, the life and death contract is your death warrant. Even at the ends of the earth, there is no place for you to hide. You can only wait to be executed. That will be your eternal destination." With such a domineering tone, at this moment, no one dared to doubt whether Qin Wushuang possessed such power or not. In this major battle, each of them had different backgrounds and revealed their divine skills. Clearly, Xian Tianwen was one step behind and lost the entire game. On the other hand, Qin Wushuang had the upper hand as he controlled the upper hand tightly. Now, Xian Tianwen could only escape without a trace. This was also something no one dared to imagine before the battle. Perhaps only Qin Wushuang knew about this result. Regardless of how optimistic the person was, they would not have thought that Qin Wushuang could use a form of overwhelming momentum to beat Xi and Tianwen to turn around and run. However, could Xi and Tianwen escape from the life and death contract? In the sky above the Xian Yuan stage, Qin Wushuang chased relentlessly. The observant finger jade plate locked onto Xi and Tianwen's figure tightly. The speed of the purple cloud Yin Yang wings was not slower than the heavenly emperor wings. At this moment, Xi and Tianwen could not care about his dignity as he ran for his life. He knew that if he was surrounded by that sword formation again, Qin Wushuang would never give him the chance to escape. Qin Wushuang chased for a while. When he saw he could not shorten the distance, he let out a long laugh. Xi and Tianwen, today, I will let you see what divine power is. After he finished speaking, a burst of golden light surged from Qin Wushuang's body. Layers of dragon scales kept emerging from below his shoulder. The bones of his entire body were also undergoing a violent change. HM, what is that? Dragon. He has dragon scales on his body. Isn't this Qin Wushuang a disciple of the Qin clan? How could he have dragon scales? Indeed, they were dragon scales, extremely dazzling dragon scales. Qin Wushuang's entire body was filled with the presence of the immemorial dragon clan. He had completely transformed into a dragon and appeared awe-inspiring. As he moved, he danced with the wind and clouds. His speed was even faster than lightning. Instantly, Ai, Simo, and Nan Nan, the two dragon babies, cheered with joy and shouted long live their father. This kind of bloodline was the same as theirs, the dragon breath. Naturally, the extremely pure, immemorial dragon bloodline made them endlessly excited. Bao Bao also cried out, "Boss, so powerful. This is also the immemorial bloodline. Haha, no wonder Boss is so monstrous. He has the bloodline of the immemorial dragon clan and is even more powerful than me, the immemorial spiritual monkey." On the other hand, Murong soon knew the sequence of events. He knew that Qin Wushuang had acquired this fortuitous opportunity from the coiling Dragon Palace Hall beneath the black Dead Sea of the floating snow house. Inwardly, he was also incredibly proud and happy for his sweetheart's performance. On the stage of the Xian Yuan stage, under the eyes of tens of thousands of people, he had beaten Xi and Tianwen to flee in all directions. From now on, this battle would establish Qin Wushuang's position as an elite warrior. At least, beneath the totem clan, there would not be any dispute. Since Xi and Tianwen was no match for him, for the others, even the Yun clan, what could they use to compete? As Qin Wushuang, who had transformed into a dragon, kept closing the distance, Xi and Tianwen knew that if he did not flee far away, most likely he would meet a calamity here. Without caring about his face, he flew towards the distance. As the divine light surged, he transformed into a long rainbow at an extremely fast speed. Qin Wushuang roared with laughter and grabbed the yin-yang nature blade again. He said with a long voice, "Xi and Tianwen, I already said that you cannot escape from a life and death contract. This blade will break your yin and yang." Together with the blade, Qin Wushuang submerged into the sky. With an imposing manner that could support the heavens and earth, he poured all his power into his arms and slashed out this exceptional blade move. The fate of yin and yang would depend on this blade move. Xi and Tianwen could not escape as he was slashed by this blade light. With a miserable cry, his corporeal body was instantly cut into two pieces. A burst of divine soul dashed out of the corporeal body and left in a hurry. Qin Wushuang was incredibly ruthless, for he would not stop at all. He shouted, "Xi and Tianwen, this blade move is to take revenge for the past dozen years of punitive expeditions against the Qin clan." Xi and Tianwen roared miserably, "Daoist Saber Beard, save me. Mr. Ba, quickly make this kid stop. The Xian clan will withdraw from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. We will withdraw." Saber Beard's expression was indeterminate. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for him to make a move. For the competition on the Xian Yuan stage, Whoever made a move would be courting death. The rules of the totem clan were not something that could be easily broken. Xian Yuan Ba let out a bitter smile. When signing this life and death contract, you, Xian Tianwen, made a solemn vow and acted insufferably arrogant. Now that you are defeated, you want me to save you. How can I speak? I am not qualified to break this life and death contract, unless the paramount totem elite warrior comes. However, since Xian Tianwen spoke, considering the usual strategy of the Xianyuan clan, they wanted these three clans to stand in a tripartite balance. If Xian Tianwen died, the Xian clan would fall, and one of the tripartite balance would be broken. This was something the paramount totem elite warrior would not wish to see. Since he could not speak, he could only act as a mediator. He said with a clear voice, "Head Chief Qin, can you listen to me?" Qin Wushuang responded, "Mr. Ba, before the life and death contract, there is only life and death and no feelings. Whoever stops the life and death contract will break the rules of the Xianyuan clan for tens and thousands of years." Immediately, Xian Yuan Ba shut his mouth. When this huge accusation was thrown at him, it was not something he could take. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 872. Xian Tianwen was in despair. Even Xian Yuan Ba stopped talking. He realized that most likely he would not have a good ending today. He thought of how he had schemed for half of his life, and in just a dozen years, he had completely ruined the foundation of the Xian clan. He had even caused his own death. He was unwilling. However, at this point, any form of unwillingness or emotion would be useless. Life and death would be decided in an instant. Qin Wushuang was already brewing his yin-yang nature blade again and was ready to attack the divine soul. The divine soul was much more powerful than the body, especially the divine soul at the third calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. It was incomparably powerful. Xian Tianwen was in extreme despair. Enraged, he cried out madly, "Qin Wushuang, do you want me to die? Very good, then I will take you with me." Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. "Xian Tianwen, you are not going to explode your own divine soul with me, right? Go ahead and explode. It just so happens that I have a lot of doppelganger puppets. I can send one to accompany you on your way. It will save you from being too lonely on the road to the underworld." His words almost infuriated Xian Tianwen to death. He didn't know that if Qin Wushuang truly sent out a puppet, it would not be worth it for him to explode his own divine soul. What was the value of a puppet? It would have been all right if he had truly killed Qin Wushuang. At least, he would have fought for the future of the Xian clan. However, if he died and Qin Wushuang lived, the destruction of the Xian clan would not be far away. Thinking here, Xian Tianwen's evil intentions kept emerging as he laughed madly. "All right, Qin Wushuang, you are ruthless. Then let's try it. Even if I cannot kill you, I can make you regret it for the rest of your life." After he finished speaking, Xian Tianwen's divine soul pressed towards the bottom of the Xianyuan stage and dashed towards the Qin party. He planned to explode his own divine soul in the Qin party. He wanted to die together with the elite warriors of the Qin clan. Almost all the elite warriors of the Qin clan were present. They had gathered all the elite warriors of the Qin clan. If Xian Tianwen succeeded in self-detonating, none of the elite warriors of the Qin clan would survive. This included Qin Shoutian. It was because Qin Shoutian was severely injured and could not resist. Qin Wushuang smiled faintly. "Can you pass it?" 9 golem puppets dashed out from the void and formed a perfect defensive wall to protect the bottom. They blocked Xian Tianwen's divine soul completely. With the yin-yang nature blade in hand, Qin Wushuang revealed a profound look. Endless murderous intentions surged as he gave a low roar and cried out, "Xian Tianwen, wake up!" When the saber light flashed, it was as if the light of the sun and the moon was condensed in the saber. The saber was yin and yang. The saber was creation, and the saber was the universe. For this blade move, Qin Wushuang was determined to kill Xian Tianwen. At this critical moment, a loud shout was heard. Then, a huge illusory handprint pressed down from the sky, blocking the power of Qin Wushuang's blade. A dazzling figure shot down from the sky like a scorching sun, causing the surrounding void to heat up like a volcanic eruption. Xian Yuanyang, dressed in a scorching sun robe, the paramount totem elite warrior of the Xian Yuan clan, had appeared at this moment. A trace of anger flashed across Qin Wushuang's eyes. In the end, he suppressed it and asked with a low voice, "Sir Yang, who made this life and death contract?" "Qin Wushuang, you don't need to trick me. This life and death contract is the rule of the totem clan." Naturally, the totem clan has the right to explain. A surge of annoyance scuttled inside Qin Wushuang's heart. What a powerful logic. The hidden meaning of these words was that the Xian Yuan clan made the rules. We can make and break them whenever we want. Everything is decided by the Xian Yuan clan. Xian Yuanyang did not care about Qin Wushuang's reaction as he said lightly, "Xian Tianwen, since your body was cut into two, there is still a way to fix it. You can ask Xian Yuanba to give you the heavenly Tao life replenishing ointment to reforge your body and restore your body." Xian Tianwen was overjoyed. "Sir Yang is mighty. At this crucial moment, it's you who will save me." It seems that the powerful rise of the Qin clan has provoked the Xian Yuan clan. Ha ha ha. Although Xian Tianwen was defeated, he was extremely happy inwardly. The anger in Qin Wushuang's eyes became even more apparent. He glared at Xian Tianwen, who was behind Xian Yuanyang, and said with an expressionless face, "Sir Yang, this way, can a life and death contract of the Xian Yuan clan be abandoned at will?" "Qin Wushuang, with me stepping out, could it be that I am not persuasive enough? Since the outcome has been decided, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain must be stabilized. What's the use of killing each other? Ha ha ha." Suddenly, Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. His tone was filled with indescribable resentment. "Good, what's the use of killing each other?" These words make sense. Unfortunately, when the Heavenly Emperor's 6 gates besieged the Qin clan, no one stepped out to speak these fair words. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire scene lost their color. This Qin Wushuang was extremely annoyed by the paramount totem elite warrior. His tone was clearly discontent and full of provocation. Clashing with the paramount totem elite warrior? Could it be that this guy had lost his sense of measure after winning one round? Although he was powerful when he defeated Xian Tianwen, before the paramount totem elite warrior, he was nothing. Even for those people of the Qin clan, although they were extremely dissatisfied with Xian Yuanyang's action of taking sides, deep down they were unwilling to fall out with the totem powerhouses, not to mention the paramount totem elite warrior. Initially, when Xian Yuanyang went to the Qin clan and agreed to a 3-year truce, he realized that Qin Wushuang was easy to talk to. He thought that this time there would not be any resistance. Unexpectedly, Qin Wushuang dared to contradict him in public. He could not help but feel annoyed. If the authority of the totem clan could not be defended, even if Qin Wushuang had other people supporting him, Xian Yuanyang would not compromise. He shot an indifferent glance at Qin Wushuang. "Qin Wushuang, I don't need to teach you the principle of how times change. You are still young and have a long way to go. It's the right way to not be arrogant when you're young." Qin Wushuang gave a cold sneer. "Since the Xian clan has not given up on destroying the Qin clan, it's right and proper for me to kill him. Not to mention this is before the life and death contract. Since you want to protect the Xian clan wholeheartedly, of course the Qin clan has nothing to say. Today, the Qin clan will swallow this humiliation and yield. Xian Tianwen, you must always hide like a turtle. However, the day you fall into my hands will be the day of your death." After he had finished speaking, he cupped his hands in a salute to Xian Yuanyang. Paramount elite warrior, the Heavenly Emperor competition is also the rule of the totem clan. Whether the Qin clan wins or loses, please make the ruling. These words were still somewhat sarcastic as they mocked the Xian Yuan clan for changing their orders and not having principles. It was pardonable for Qin Wushuang to use this topic to vent the anger in his heart. How could Xian Yuan Yang not understand it? Revealing a gloomy expression, he shot a careful glance at Qin Wushuang and said with a profound tone, "Everyone in the world has seen the outcome of the competition. There is no need for me to make the ruling. The Qin clan has a great future. Take care of yourself. Always remember the responsibility of the Heavenly Emperor. Don't lose your bearings." In the end, the Qin clan is still the subordinate of the Xian Yuan clan. To put it bluntly, you are a running dog. Now that you have regained the position of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, you are only a butler. Don't get carried away. Of course, Qin Wushuang understood this layer of meaning. He revealed a light smile and did not speak a word. Inwardly, he was incredibly furious. The Xian Yuan totem clan is unreasonable. You're using your big but to suppress the Qin clan. All right, since I cannot beat you today, I will yield. There would be a day when the accounts of what had happened today would have to be resettled. Let's see how long the Xian Yuan clan can protect the Xian clan. Since the Xian Yuan clan is unfair, why should the Qin clan be dead set on you? Deep down, Qin Wushuang was an untamed person. Initially, he did not have a good impression of the totem clan, but he did not have a bad impression either. However, ever since Xian Yuan Wei lent the Nirvana Heavenly Plow to Tianwen, his impression of the totem clan had fallen to the bottom of the valley. Although Xian Yuan Yang played the role of mediator during the 3 years of ceasefire, Qin Wushuang more or less resisted Xian Yuan Yang from the bottom of his heart when he charged in without regard to the aspiring Throne Mountains formation and showed off his strength. You can charge into the territory of the Qin clan as you please. Do you truly think you are the master? Today, just when he was about to take revenge for his blood feud with Tianwen, this Xian Yuan Yang intervened and saved Tianwen's life. He also wanted to build a body for Tianwen. Such unfair treatment caused Qin Wushuang's discontent to rush to the peak. If Qin Wushuang was the one who lost today, if Qin Wushuang was the one being chased, would Xian Yuan Yang come out to mediate? Would he rush to help? Qin Wushuang did not believe that Xian Yuan Yang was that good. In the end, the Xian Yuan clan was still biased. They were more cautious of the Qin clan and would always side with the Xian clan to fight against the Qin clan. When Xian Yuan Ba saw Qin Wushuang drop down from the Xian Yuan stage, he chuckled. Congratulations, it's not a problem for the Qin clan to advance. Although the Yin clan won, they already stated that they will give up the final competition. In other words, your Qin clan is already the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Beneath the stage, there was a burst of cheers. All disciples of the Qin clan, those at the Supreme Tao stage, and those not at the Supreme Tao stage cheered. A few of the older ones even shed tears. Initially, Qin Wushuang had looked forward to this joy for many years. But at this moment, this happy and joyful feeling was completely gone. If Tianwen did not die, he would always be a great calamity. As he watched Tianwen across from him, Qin Wushuang could not refrain from pressing the handle of the yin-yang nature blade. Xian Yuan Ba's expression changed. "Chief Qin, you must not act rashly." Xian Yuan Yang gave a cold snort and dropped down from the stage. His position was incredibly subtle as he was in between Qin Wushuang and Tianwen. He blocked the space between them. A moment ago, Qin Wushuang truly had a surge of vile thoughts. He decided to kill Tianwen regardless of everything. Unexpectedly, he was exposed. At this moment, a straightforward long laugh came from the sky. "It's so lively, I'm not late, am I?" A grain of glimmering light dropped on the Xian Yuan stage. Like a peeled egg, in the midst of the splendor, a smiling martial artist walked out. When Xian Yuan Yang saw this person, his expression could not refrain from changing slightly. That martial artist was none other than Li Bai, the fortune teller. Qin Wushuang was greatly astonished. "Senior Li, why are you here?" Li Bai chuckled and shot a glance at Tianwen. He said lightly, "Junior brother Yang, I am taking advantage of my seniority to say something. Since the life and death contract is a rule set by your Xian Yuan clan, it doesn't seem kind to change it casually. If you change the rules day and night, what prestige does the Xian Yuan clan have?" Inwardly, Xian Yuan Yang cried bitterly. Indeed, this person came to fight for justice. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. More chapters, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 873. When Qin Wushuang saw Li Bai appear in such situation, he felt somewhat strange. In his memory, this Li Bai was a senior hermit who played the game. He had taken care of Qin Wushuang a few times, yet he did it in secret. Clearly, he did not want to show himself. Unexpectedly, under such circumstances, Senior Li Bai had appeared, and from his tone, he had come to help the Qin clan. His greeting of younger brother Yang further revealed their relationship. Although Qin Wushuang was confused, the other people of the Qin clan were also confused. However, under such circumstances, silence was their best choice. The most shocked people were those spectators beneath the stage. The Heavenly Emperor competition was in full swing and full of brilliance. Now, the dust had finally settled and the victor had been determined. Unexpectedly, the paramount totem elite warrior had stepped out to save Exine Tianwen. Just when everyone felt the Qin clan had compromised, suddenly another elite warrior had appeared. He had called Xian Yuan Yang, the paramount totem elite warrior, Junior brother Yang. What was even more shocking was that behind this form of address, there was a hidden tone of superiority. Vividly, it carried a form of irresistible power. Inwardly, Xian Yuan Yang felt apprehensive and was greatly astonished. It was not because he did not receive Li Bai's hints. However, those hints only asked him to treat the Heavenly Emperor Mountain competition impartially and not get involved. He did not ask him to take care of Qin Wushuang deliberately. The way he did it was mainly through hints. Currently, Li Bai's appearance had already made everything clear. He was already prepared to change from hinting to supporting him on the surface. Haha, Senior Brother Li, initially we should not get involved in such secular competition. Only, considering the general situation of Xian Yuan Mound, we could not bear to see them fight excessively. Senior Brother Li, such trivial matters are not worth mentioning. Haha, it's rare for you to grace us with your presence. You should come and sit at my place. Xian Yuan Yang tried to laugh it off, wanting to let this matter pass easily. With an indifferent expression, Li Bai shook his head slowly. Junior brother Yang's words are absurd. The Totem clan sets an example and is the role model for all sects in the Tianxian land. If this role model is not done well, how can the subordinates be convinced? Exine Tianwen was incredibly annoyed. He did not know this Li Bai. Yet when he saw him acting like an old man, and how even the paramount totem elite warrior treated him with respect, although he was annoyed, he did not dare to contradict him. He only sized Li Bai from the corner of his eyes. He glanced at Saberbeard, clearly wanting to ask Saberbeard. Unexpectedly, Saberbeard deliberately turned his head to avoid making eye contact with Exine Tianwen. Exine Tianwen felt even angrier. Before the battle, this Saberbeard was his staunch ally. Now with such attitude, it truly made Exine Tianwen feel bitterly disappointed. Indeed, Xian Yuan Yang was somewhat annoyed. Li Bai, you are powerful for controlling the god, discarding door. But we're all peerless experts, so there's no need to tear me down here, right? Was it necessary for a mere Qin clan? However, despite feeling annoyed inwardly, Xian Yuan Yang still felt deeply helpless when he thought of the power Li Bai held. Brother Li, all 5 of the forbidden spiritual zones are holding similar events. When they spar with each other, if it involves life and death, the paramount totem elite warriors will step out to mediate. Revealing an indifferent expression, Li Bai rolled his eyes and suddenly said, Junior brother Yang, no matter how much I say, you still have your difficulties. This is simple. You and I have been friends for a few thousand years. Let me help you solve it. Xian Yuanyang was stunned. You help me solve it? How? Before he could react, Li Bai's shoulders seemed to tremble slightly, and his sleeve seemed to sweep. Without the slightest sign, suddenly Xan Tianwen's throat tightened and his two pupils popped out. With a miserable cry, Xan Tianwen's corporeal body suddenly split open inch by inch. It was as if a clay statue was suddenly crushed. Before his divine soul had the time to escape, it was shattered into pieces. Indeed, this unforeseen event came out of the blue. Even Xian Yuanyang was dumbstruck. As if he had done something insignificant, Li Bai shot a glance at Xian Yuanyang and said with a beaming smile, Junior Brother Yang, didn't you want to invite me to sit? Lead the way? Xian Yuanyang was stupefied and could not make a sound for a while. When he killed Xan Tianwen instantly before him, what surprised him was not the face of the Xian Yuan clan, but Li Bai's methods. This had simply surpassed Xian Yuanyang's imagination. He did not even see how Li Bai had made his move. He swallowed with a dry throat and revealed a bitter and helpless smile. As he looked at the shocked eyes of all those people beneath the stage, he realized that this time the Xian Yuan clan had lost a great deal of face. However, the person that made him lose face was someone that even the Xian Yuan clan could not bear to take revenge on. To take revenge on the controller of the god discarding door? That would be asking for a snub. Now, Xian Yuanyang definitely experienced deeply what it meant to refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. If he knew this would happen, he would not have stepped out to mediate. If he had let Qin Wushuang kill Xan Tianwen, the Xian Yuan clan could still maintain the name of justice. Now, not only did they leave a feeling of injustice, Li Bai had slapped them in front of everyone and left them with no dignity. Even Qin Wushuang felt extremely shocked. As he watched the miserable scene of Xan Tianwen being killed, Qin Wushuang already completely ignored the existence of the Xian Yuan clan. Instead, he kept asking inwardly, just how profound is this senior Li Bai's strength? From the looks of this situation, it seems that Xian Yuanyang, the paramount totem elite warrior, is also helpless. Could it be he is at that level? Of course, that level was the heavenly supreme Dao stage. For such speculation, not only Qin Wushuang had it, the other people almost had the same feeling at the same time. The way they looked at Li Bai could no longer be described with respect and admiration. In the end, Xian Yuanyang was a person of great importance. After a moment of awkwardness, he let out a straightforward laugh. For the family matters of the Xian Yuan mound, it would be a joke to outsiders if we let Brotherly step out. Haha, everyone, let me introduce you. This is Mr. Li Bai, the controller of the god discarding door, the top elite warrior of the Tianxian land. His intention was very clear when he introduced them like this. He wanted to redeem the lost face of the Xian Yuan clan. It would not be too embarrassing if the controller of the god, discarding door, made the Xian Yuan clan lose face. Indeed, upon hearing the words of the god, discarding door, many elite warriors immediately understood tacitly and revealed an I see expression. Through one drama after another, the Heavenly Emperor Mountain competition finally came to an end. The Heavenly Emperor's seat fell into the hands of the Qin clan as they wished. Finally, the Qin clan saw the satisfying scene of Xan Tianwen being executed. From the bottom of his heart, Qin Wushuang was grateful to Li Bai. Although Li Bai did not show extra care to him at the Xian Yuan stage, he could still see the appreciation from his eyes. Inside Qin Wushuang's mind, he kept remembering the first time he saw Li Bai at the human countries. Thinking back, it was truly miraculous. Although the pageant had ended, the battle between Qin Wushuang and Xan Tianwen was destined to be an eternal classic. It could be said that it was the most exciting battle in 10,000 years. Although Xan Tianwen was already dead, people still took delight in talking about this classic battle. For Qin Wushuang's battle, he did not appear inferior due to the interference of the paramount totem elite warrior. Instead, his argument with the paramount totem elite warrior won him more reputation. Young people with strength, unyielding character, and not fearing power were the easiest to be molded into a hero. Indeed, Qin Wushuang deserved these good reputation. The appearance of Qin Wushuang also caused many rumors to spread among the busybodies. Astute people could see that clearly. The controller of the god, discarding door, appreciated Qin Wushuang greatly. Or else, he would not have stepped out forcefully. The most surprising thing was that Qin Wushuang beat Xian Tianwen until he fled in an embarrassing state. Indirectly, it made the Yun clan realize the difference between them and give up the battle. To the Qin clan, this could be considered a form of contrast. For an old sect like the Yun clan to admit defeat, the limelight of the Qin clan was truly unparalleled. At the aspiring Throne Mountain, the upright morality hall was full of jubilation. Once again, the Qin clan seized the heavenly emperor's seat and caused each disciple of the Qin clan to fall into a frenzy. Even those steady old guys could not refrain from becoming impudent as they celebrated to their heart's content at the upright morality hall. Finally, after all these years of suppression, they were able to get their reward. Xian Tianwen, the great calamity, was finally dead. Without this great calamity, the Xian clan only had Xian Tianshun, one supreme Dao elite warrior left. It would be difficult for them to make any waves. Everyone, quiet down. Qin Yunran roared with laughter. Everyone quieted down and looked at Qin Yunran. This time, the Qin clan seized the heavenly emperor's seat. Who has the highest merit? Who has the greatest contribution? Head chief, head chief, head chief. Everyone cried out in unison. The head chief suppressed Xian Tianwen forcefully and beat him until he fled in an embarrassing state. This had already become a classic story passed by word of mouth among the disciples of the Qin clan. For all disciples of the Qin clan, even those ordinary disciples who did not participate knew the details of the battle. They were proud that the Qin clan had such a head chief. Yes, it's our head chief. However, everyone must change the way you address him. Now, our head chief is the heavenly emperor. Ha, Qin Yunran said with a laugh. Yes, the heavenly emperor. All hail the mighty heavenly emperor. Qin Wushuang waved his hand with a smile. Everyone listen to me. Immediately, everyone quieted down and looked at Qin Wushuang seriously. They waited for him to speak. Qin Wushuang said seriously, "First of all, the heavenly emperor title has not been conferred. At this time, everyone must not overstep their boundaries by addressing him as the heavenly emperor. We already made the Xian Yuan clan unhappy. We must not let them catch this and make things difficult for us. Next, I will take the heavenly emperor's seat for now. After the grand elder recovers from his injuries, I plan to pass the heavenly emperor's seat to him." Everyone beneath the stage looked at each other in dismay. The heavenly emperor's seat would be given to the grand elder. Although he was giving it to his own family, everyone still felt somewhat strange. In their eyes, the current head chief was the most exceptional genius in the history of the Qin clan. Even the former head chief Qin Xiaodian and the current grand elder were not as good as him. Qin Wushuang knew everyone's misgivings as he laughed. "Don't worry, I will not ignore the rise and fall of the Qin clan. When I give up the heavenly emperor's seat, I think the Qin clan will have already stabilized the situation at the heavenly emperor mountain. By that time, it will not be a problem for anyone to take over the heavenly emperor's seat." When they received Qin Wushuang's promise, everyone's worries turned into joy. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.qijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 874. Qin Xiaodian was also at the scene. When he saw everyone's reaction, he did not feel any jealousy or discomfort. On the contrary, he felt incredibly gratified. To him, it was definitely gratifying for the younger generation of the Qin clan to carry the heavy burden. For no reason, he would be jealous of Qin Wushuang. Not to mention, with Qin Wushuang's divine skills and his contributions to the Qin clan, It was natural for him to have a higher voice than Qin Shaodian. The appearance of Qin Wushuang could almost be said to have saved the Qin clan from disaster with his own power. This contribution was enough to rank him in the top 3 in the history of the Qin clan. Such figure was destined to leave his name in history. Qin Shaodian was overjoyed. Currently, Qin Wushuang's reputation was on the rise. Naturally, Qin Shaodian was happy to add fuel to the fire and further consolidate Qin Wushuang's position in the clan. He suggested to send out the Qin clan's gathering order to summon all the patriarchs of the Qin branches across the world to congratulate and witness the grand occasion of the Qin clan. Of course, the Eastwood Qin clan of the Bayou country was also invited. Almost all the chiefs suggested at the same time to ask Qin Wushuang to transport the remains of his ancestors back to the aspiring throne mountain. They would be buried at the sacrificial valley and would be given the grandest treatment. Almost everyone supported it, and no one would object. For the line of the Eastwood Qin clan, they had nurtured Qin Wushuang and had made enough contributions to enter the sacrificial cliff. What other contribution could be greater than saving the fate of the Qin clan? Saving the fate of the Qin clan did not start with Qin Wushuang. Starting from the first-generation ancestor, Qin Yu, the seed had been planted. Therefore, all generations of ancestors of the Eastwood Qin clan had made an exception to be buried at the sacrificial valley. Second Chief Qin Yunran led the team to welcome the Eastwood Qin clan personally. The standard was extremely high. Apparently, Qin Lianshan had already received the news. With tears streaming down his face, he knelt for a night at the ancestral hall of the Eastwood Qin clan. Early next morning, he announced the important news of the Eastwood Qin clan moving back to the aspiring throne mountain. All Qin clansmen cheered with joy. Returning to the aspiring throne mountain and staying at the Heavenly Emperor Gate, this was the highest treatment. Currently, Qin Wushuang had become the head chief and held a high position. He led the supreme Dao chiefs of the aspiring throne mountain Qin clan to welcome them from 10,000 miles away. The patriarchs of each branch of the Qin clan brought their most exceptional talents to the aspiring throne mountain to witness this grand moment. There were a few hundred branches of the Qin clan in the world. This time, each branch was allowed 5 spots to attend the ceremony. Thus, each branch valued this spot greatly. On the one hand, he had to take care of the older generation in the clan, and on the other hand, he had to give the younger generation a chance to show themselves. This time, the Qin clan had summoned all the branches. Clearly, they intended to select a large number of young disciples. To strengthen the Qin clan, they must not stick to one pattern and select good seedlings. Although the Xinyuan clan had lost face on the Xinyuan stage, they still abided by the rules this time. 10 days after the end of the Battle of Heaven and Earth, they officially conferred a new celestial emperor, and the recipient was naturally Qin Wushuang. In this way, the youngest celestial emperor in history was born. After sitting on the seat of the celestial emperor, the Qin clan was qualified to exercise that banishment spot. For the Xian clan, Xian Tianqian endured the humiliation and waited for the Heavenly Emperor Gate to open their golden mouth. He would withdraw from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain to protect the Xian clan. Strangely, Qin Wushuang was not in a rush to exercise the privilege of being the celestial emperor. Instead, he started to prepare for the internal celebration of the Qin clan and entertain the guests from all branches of the Qin clan. A celebration from inside the Qin clan lasted for 7 days before it finally ended. Naturally, the Qin clan needed a way to vent the repressed anger accumulated over the years. This time, among the young disciples of the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang received them personally. Since they were all from a younger generation, everyone admired and was curious about the youngest celestial emperor in history. Therefore, among the younger generation, Qin Wushuang had extra popularity. When they received Qin Wushuang's approach, these young people were endlessly excited. Qin Wushuang acted personally and selected 100 disciples with exceptional talent. It could be considered an explanation to the branches of the Qin clan. Since they were selected by the headquarter Qin clan, of course these disciples were endlessly excited. As for the branch families behind these disciples, They were extremely proud of them. Qin Wushuang set himself as an example by teaching them some training techniques and giving them pointers. This made these disciples of the Qin clan feel even more excited. They could not suppress the excitement inside their hearts as they worked hard to train and repay their sect. When the Heavenly Emperor competition ended, Qin Wushuang started to reward them according to their contributions. All Supreme Dao elite warriors of the Qin clan received Supreme Dao weapons from Qin Wushuang. Additionally, Qin Wushuang spent a lot of money as soon as he made a move. This way, immediately the treasury of the Qin clan became much more abundant. Qin Wushuang had acquired 81 Supreme Dao weapons, plus some he had acquired previously. He had an abundance of Supreme Dao weapons. Although he rewarded the 4 major sects in Bao Bao, he still had a rich inventory. In one breath, he added 20 Supreme Dao weapons to the treasury of the Qin clan. All of them were at the Transformation Supreme Dao level. 8 of them were genuine Supreme Dao weapons. Thinking back to the past, Xen Tianwen was able to run rampant at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain because he had the genuine Divine 6 weapons. Now, these 8 genuine Supreme Dao weapons given by Qin Wushuang possess qualities above the genuine Divine 6 weapons. This way, naturally the advantage of the Qin clan was even more consolidated. Unless the Qin clan was willing to degenerate or a major accident occurred, most likely there would not be any suspense for the Heavenly Emperor's seat in the next 10,000 years. With such tremendous advantage, the Qin clan could definitely continue to hold their position and no one could shake them. For the higher-ups of the Qin clan, everyone received benefits. Naturally, they supported Qin Wushuang even more. For Qin Lianshan's line, due to Qin Wushuang, they also enjoyed the treatment of an honored warrior at the Qin clan. Of course, although Qin Lianshan had yet to reach the exquisite mysterious boundary stage, his brother-in-law, Shi Ming, was close to this level. With time, it was only a matter of time before he entered the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. On this day, at the Upright Morality Hall, Qin Wushuang summoned all Qin clansmen above the core disciple level. Everyone knew that since the Heavenly Emperor had summoned them, certainly there must be important matters. Thus, they came to the Upright Morality Hall early. Chief Yunran, Chief Chongyang, I have an unparalleled formation here. It can be a classic passed down by generations of the Qin clan. It's called the 9 Palace Return 1 Sword Formation. For all disciples of the Qin clan, according to your strength, you can form a team of 9 people to practice this 9 Palace Return 1 Sword Formation. When this formation is trained to the extreme, you can unleash 81 times the power of 9 people. In other words, you can unleash more than 300 times the power of an individual. When I dealt with Xen Tianwen at the Xianyuan stage, I used the giant puppet to control the sword formation and played with him until he collapsed. Qin Yunran and the others had seen the power of this puppet sword formation. Upon hearing the words of Qin Wushuang, they were greatly overjoyed. Your Majesty, if this formation could be promoted on a large scale inside the Qin clan, certainly the position of the Qin clan will be more stable and we will suppress the other sections. Qin Wushuang said with a smile, within the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, the Qin clan is already invincible. Our vision should not be limited to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. The situation in the Tianxian land is treacherous and unpredictable. No one knows how the situation will change in the future. Only by strengthening our own strength will it be the eternal way of the king. Yes, as long as the Qin clan possesses sufficient strength, regardless of how the situation changes, we will have more leeway. Yunran, Chongyang, for this matter, I will have to trouble you to arrange it. In the future, when the Qin clan gathers 9 Supreme Dao elite warriors, they can practice this formation together. Its power will be extraordinary. Everyone was overjoyed. As for the Great 5 Attributes Reincarnation Seal, for the time being, Qin Wushuang did not plan to teach it. Although this consummate skill was powerful, it was tailor-made for the talent of the 5 attributes. It was not impossible to teach it to other disciples. However, They could only practice a single seal technique, and its power would be greatly reduced. The Qin clan had many consummate skills, and they would not bite off more than they could chew. For that mustard cave dwelling, Qin Wushuang also planned to think about how to refine it and use it as a fortress inside the Qin clan. It was rumored that once this mustard cave dwelling was completely refined, no one within the Tianxian land could break it. Even elite warriors of the Heavenly Supreme Dao stage could not break it easily. It was exceptional. Your Majesty, there's a guy with a long beard outside. He said he wants to see you. Who is it? Did he report his identity? During this time, too many people claimed to want to see him. However, most of them wanted to curry favor with this new heavenly emperor. Not many people had serious business. As time passed, naturally Qin Wushuang felt somewhat annoyed. He said he is Saber-Beard, that disciple said stutteringly. Saber-Beard? Qin Wushuang narrowed his eyes. Ever since the Xian clan met misfortune, this Saber-Beard kept a much lower profile. During this time, Qin Wushuang did consider finding trouble with Saber-Beard. However, firstly, the foundation of the Qin clan was not stable. Secondly, there were too many important matters at hand and not enough time. Thirdly, he did not have 100% assurance to kill Saber-Beard. After all, Saber-Beard was in a different situation than Xian Tianwen. If he could not beat him, Saber-Beard could completely let go of his status and escape. With the foundation of the Xian clan, Xian Tianwen could not have escaped far. However, it was different for Saber-Beard. Your Majesty, this Saber-Beard is full of tricks. I am afraid he did not come with good intentions, right? Qin Chongyang said with a frown. Qin Wushuang nodded slightly. A few days ago when chasing Cloud left, he especially warned me to be on guard against Saber-Beard. Of course, I will not let down my guard. Then let's just drive him away, Qin Yunran suggested. However, Qin Wushuang shook his head. No rush. For sure this Saber-Beard came to see us for a reason. I want to see what he is up to. Now, everyone was extremely confident in Qin Wushuang's strength. They were not worried about this Saber-Beard causing trouble. Even if this Saber-Beard harbored evil intentions, at the Qin headquarters, he could not act wildly. I will take a look outside the mountain gate. Although I am not afraid of him causing trouble, I cannot let him tarnish the sacred mountain gate of the Qin clan. Qin Wushuang revealed a slight smile. He stood up and walked toward the outside of the mountain gate. He did not have much favorable impression of this Saber-Beard. Because of this, he must figure out the intentions of this Saber-Beard. Qin Wushuang was a meticulous person. Initially, when Xian Tianwen struggled on the verge of death and asked for help from Saber-Beard, Qin Wushuang had a deep impression of Saber-Beard's indifferent appearance. He always felt that the motive of this Saber-Beard was somewhat strange. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 875. Outside the mountain gate. Saber-Beard was not in a rush at all, as if he was waiting for his best friend. He appeared relaxed. Judging from the situation, one could not see that in the past half a month, this Saber-Beard was still fighting with the Qin clan. A few years ago, he came with Xian Tianwen to wreak havoc and attack the mountain gate of the Qin clan. When he saw Qin Wushuang coming out, Saber-Beard laughed. Indeed, heroes come from the young. Your Majesty, haha. Admirable, admirable. I rarely admire anyone, but I must admire you. Qin Wushuang said with a cold sneer, if the way to admire me is to become the enemy of the Qin clan, I don't need such admiration. Saber-Beard, you helped Xian Tianwen to attack my Qin clan. This old debt has yet to be settled. Are you here today to settle it with me? Saber-Beard immediately waved his hand and revealed a friendly smile. Your Majesty, please don't misunderstand. Indeed, I share some relationship with Xian Tianwen. However, the premise is that I owe him a favor. Therefore, when he invited me to attack the Qin clan, I had to come. Later on, because I offended the Qin clan, I boarded the pirate ship and could not get off. I will speak directly. If the Qin clan had lost, I would not have come here today. Certainly, I would be drinking and chatting with Xi and Tianwen. However, when X and Tianwen lost, I did not feel disappointed. Instead, I felt free. For a useless piece of trash, it would be difficult for me to make a name for myself by working with him. Hearing his tone, it seemed that he truly planned to reconcile. However, Qin Wushuang never had a good impression of Saberbeard. Naturally, he would not be bewitched by his words. Saberbeard, you're not here to tell me that you want to become friends, right? If that's the case, keep your mouth shut. Haha, Your Majesty, everyone says that you are broad-minded and do not care about former grudges. Didn't the 100 Lane clan and the 1,000 Feather sect also attack you? Now, your Qin clan still took them in as trusted aides. Could it be that the generosity of the Qin clan is just for show? When they came to surrender, the Qin clan accepted them. I also came to surrender with sincerity. Why can't you accept me? Could it be because I am a beast? If I remember correctly, you seem to have a lot of divine beasts under you. Indeed, Saberbeard was eloquent. However, when his eloquence met someone like Qin Wushuang who had a hardier root, it would not work. Saberbeard, I admit that you are eloquent. However, you are different from the Bailey clan. They helped the Xian clan because they were threatened by Xian Tianwen. You and Xian Tianwen are birds of a feather. Do you think that by slandering Xian Tianwen, you can change my view of you? Ha! Your Majesty, at the end of the day, are you afraid that I'm too powerful to handle? You don't dare to stay by my side because you're afraid that I'll become a scourge. If that's the case, I'll turn around and leave. Saberbeard tried to goad him, but it was useless against Qin Wushuang. Your strength is naturally strong. It's not impossible for you to surrender to me. However, if my untrustworthy subordinates want to surrender to me, they must become my puppets. Are you interested? Saberbeard's expression changed slightly as he said with a sneer, Do you think that the pride of a genuine supreme Tao divine beast can be trampled on like this? Qin Wushuang said lightly, Didn't you deliver yourself to me? Saberbeard said unhappily, Head Chief Qin, it seems that when I address you as your Majesty, the conversation between us is not equal. It seems that I must adjust the tone of the negotiation. It's useless no matter what tone you use. With your character, it's impossible for you to win my trust. Either accept my conditions, or wait for me to settle the old accounts with you. Qin Wushuang, you are narrow-minded. Saberbeard could not refrain himself from saying, You are right. Sometimes I am indeed a narrow-minded person. Especially to people that threaten the survival of the Qin clan, it's even more so. Saberbeard, I don't know what kind of ambition you have by surrendering to me, but I can tell you clearly that you should give up. Your little tricks won't work in front of me. Saberbeard narrowed his eyes and said with a low voice, Indeed, you are arrogant when you achieve success at a young age. Qin Wushuang, don't blame me for not reminding you. When you contradicted Xian Yuan Yang that day, he already wanted to kill you. Although you are the heavenly emperor now, when Xian Yuan Yang gets hold of your weakness, perhaps it will be the end of the Qin clan. You need helpers and not more enemies. In the end, although I came with Xian Tianwen to attack your clan, I did not cause any substantial harm. Between us, there is no unsolvable grudge. Saberbeard, let me guess. What is your purpose for surrendering to the Qin clan? Qin Wushuang said with a calm and unruffled smile. Humph, take a guess. The first possible reason is to avenge Xian Tianwen. This reason is somewhat nonsensical. You only have a superficial relationship with Xian Tianwen. When Xian Tianwen was struggling on his deathbed, I only saw your indifference. You did not show any concern of a close comrade. This reason can be ruled out. I also do not think you are that great. Haha, that's right. I am selfish and only think for myself. Indeed, the Xian clan is not qualified for me to work for them. Yes, it's good that you are willing to admit it. The second reason, perhaps you have some powerful enemies that you cannot deal with alone. Therefore, you want to rely on a sect and get an ally. Of course, the possibility of this reason is not great. This is certainly impossible. If I have powerful enemies, The best way is to hide in seclusion. Even if I am to find helpers, I would rather rely on the totem clan. Then the remaining reason is simple. You have a scheme. You must achieve it through the Heavenly Emperor Gate. The Xian clan in the past and the current Qin clan are all people you want to approach. By the way, do you want to enter that god discarding door? Saberbeard's gaze turned cold and shot out a burst of cold light. Then he laughed happily. Good skill, indeed good skill. Since you have hit the nail on the head, there is no need to hide my intentions. That's right, I just want to try my luck at that god discarding door. However, for a freelance divine beast like me, unless I rely on a sect, I'm not qualified to enter. Your Heavenly Emperor Gate has a lot of spots. I can sacrifice 1,000 years of freedom to work for the Qin clan. I only asked for one spot, how about it? Qin Wushuang sized Saberbeard seriously as if he wanted to see through him. However, this Saberbeard did not evade his gaze at all. He stared at Qin Wushuang and waited for his reply. Qin Wushuang gave a slight sneer. Saberbeard, 1,000 years of work, you want to get one spot, you have a good plan. When Saberbeard saw that Qin Wushuang's tone seemed to have loosened, he immediately said, the time can be discussed. How about 2,000 years? Sacrificing 2,000 years of freedom. What are you doing here? Saberbeard asked with a low voice. What are you doing here? Isn't this a stupid question? The god discarding door is the ultimate secret of the Tianxian land. The legendary door to soar to the Galaxia is inside the god discarding door. Let me ask you, at the Tianxian land, which genuine Supreme Tao elite warrior does not want to soar to the Galaxia and prove the heavenly Supreme Tao stage? Haha, I see. I see. Qin Wushuang declined to comment. Head Chief Qin, think about it. I never owe you favors. Once I owe you this favor, I will certainly repay it with all my power. For 2,000 years, I will work like an ox or a horse for the Qin clan. Where can you find such a good helper? That's right, Qin Wushuang said with a grinning face. However, haven't you heard of the saying? Without any proof, who knows if you're telling the truth? How can I see your sincerity? What kind of sincerity do you need? Saberbeard could not help but ask. Qin Wushuang deliberately thought for a moment and said seriously, there has always been a rule. To seek refuge with other powerhouses, you must show your loyalty. You want me to show my loyalty? Saberbeard's eyes lit up. Ha, what do you think? Qin Wushuang laughed. Saberbeard asked, speak. Who do you want me to kill? Just speak. You should think about this yourself. If I ask you to kill someone, wouldn't I be an instigator? I will only see your sincerity in showing your loyalty. As for who to kill, that's your business. Saberbeard's eyes lit up. As if he had a tacit understanding, he chuckled. I understand. Ha. Head Chief Qin, just you wait. You will surely like my sincerity. Qin Wushuang chuckled. Then let's wait and see. After he finished speaking, he did not care what else Saberbeard wanted to say and walked towards the mountain gate directly. Saberbeard glared at the departing figure of Qin Wushuang. Inwardly, he gritted his teeth with hatred. Kid, you're just putting on airs. If it weren't for the totem elite warriors deliberately pushing me aside and not letting me participate, would I have come to beg you? Just you wait. When I finish my mission, I will skin you alive to get rid of today's hatred. When he thought about the proof of his loyalty, a cold sneer spilled from the corner of Saberbeard's mouth. He looked at the direction of the Xian clan leisurely and mumbled to himself, Xian Tianwen, it's fine if you die. You'll be lonely on the road to the underworld. I will let your brother, Xian Tianchen, accompany you. Two brothers will not be lonely on the road together. Saberbeard had great ambitions and was extremely hard-hearted. He would not care about his friendship with Xian Tianwen. In fact, he was just putting on a show. He spent so much capital to help Xian Tianwen. Yet in the end, he was a useless person. This made Saberbeard feel that he was fooled by Xian Tianwen. If Xian Tianwen had acquired the Heavenly Emperor's seat, Saberbeard would not have to turn around and beg Qin Wushuang. Inside the mountain gate of the Xian clan, all the defenses were closed. They guarded the gate like birds startled by the twang of a bow. Currently, The heavenly punishing villa and the sound of thunder sect were afraid of the Qin clan's revenge. They had already moved out of the heavenly emperor mountain and fled far away. Currently, Xian Tianqin was the only remaining supreme Dao elite warrior of the Xian clan. Naturally, he endured the humiliation. However, like a bird startled by the twang of a bow, each day he was in a state of anxiety. On this day, when he heard that Saberbeard was coming to visit, a form of expectation emerged inwardly. He immediately said, "Invite him in, invite him in." When Saberbeard entered the mountain gate of the Xian clan, he saw that the Xian clan was in a state of desolation. Each of the disciples of the Xian clan hung their heads and did not have the slightest vitality. Inwardly, he sneered, "The Xian clan is on the decline. They already have 1 foot in the coffin. I'm only helping them to release the soul. In fact, they should be thanking me to prevent them from struggling. By that time, they will be destroyed by the Qin clan. Why can't I do it for them?" Thinking here, the trace of a devilish smile on the corner of Saberbeard's mouth became richer. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. More chapters, support the author, support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.